All right, we got the Krueg show rolling on a chilly night, Wednesday night. World Series goes to the Astros in Game 4. But to make it more interesting than that, it was a combined no-hitter.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. For the first time since 1956, when Don Larson threw a perfect game for the Yankees in the 56 World Series, we have seen a no-hitter in the World Series. This was not a perfect game. This was just a no-hitter. But and it wasn't a one-person no-hitter. It was a combined no-hitter. Ryan, what'd you think? I mean, Christian Javier was the starter for the Astros, and he was awesome. And Dusty pulled him. He had a chance to leave him in. He went 6 innings. He gave up just the 2 walks. He struck out 9. He had thrown 97 pitches. He'd been averaging about 110. So he just didn't. He felt like he had gone far enough at that point. In the 6th inning, I mean, the Astros scored 5 runs in the 5th, so they had that 5-0 lead. And he took him out. Now, a lot of people saying maybe he'll bring him back in Game 7 and maybe that's why he took him out. But he went to Abreu and then Montero and then Presley, and they each threw a shutout inning. Presley walked 1. Other than that, so you get 3 walks on the evening for the Phils. But the Phillies, who had been averaging like 7 runs a game, in the World Series or in the playoffs at home, get no hit by the Astros, and we've got a 2-2 series, and suddenly, just like that, it's a best of 3 for the World Series. What'd you think, Rye?
Well, first of all, this is setting up to be, I feel like, one of the more exciting nationally covered World Series in a while, because usually, it's kind of regional, but I think just the whole Philly and the Philly asshole kind of aspect of it and the Astros cheating, it just makes it so much more compelling. And I don't know. I mean, if I was the Phillies, I wouldn't feel too down because, it's like in any sport, like except for football where it's one and done, where you almost would rather get, lose 5-0 and, just know it's not your day. It'd be much more painful if it was closer or the Phillies were hanging in there. But, I mean, I don't know. I kind of, part of me is like, you got to let the guy keep going. I mean, come on, it's the World Series. But at the same time, if you're Dusty, you might not have that much faith in Verlander. You might not have that much faith in McCullers going forward. So if this is going to be your guy and you want to maybe bring him back at some point in like Game 7, then I totally understand it.
It's pretty wild because, I mean, on one hand, you could say, well, I mean, you don't know how much you're going to need your pen going forward. And in a game where your starter was totally dominant to the point where he's throwing a no-hitter for 6, you still wind up using 4 pitchers to get through the game. I'm not sure who's worse off. I mean, the Astros used 4 pitchers. They get the win. Philly wound up using 6 pitchers in the game just to try to keep it close. And, so obviously that doesn't help them going forward. It was an interesting game just from the standpoint of, it was usually not usually. I mean, so far in this series, one team has jumped out early. That didn't happen in this game. This was a scoreless game until the 5th. And then Gurriel had the single that scored Bregman, or I should say Alvarez was hit by the pitch, which scored McCormick to make it 1-0. And then Bregman doubled to deep right, and that scored Altuve and Pena to make it 3-0. And then Tucker hit the sac fly to score Alvarez to make it 4-0. And then Gurriel with the RBI single. So it all happened in the 5th inning, a 5-run 5th for the Astros. And that's all it took as we welcome in Danny from the desert. Danny, a no-hitter in Game 4 of the World Series. The Astros win it. Christian Javier started for the Astros, and Dusty pulled him after he had gone 6. 2 walks. He struck out the 9. But what'd you think of the decision to pull Javier? We were just kind of talking about it right now. It's like Philly wound up using 6 pitchers and losing. The Astros wound up using 4 pitchers on a night where their starter was perfect.
Yeah, I thought it was, they had the pen rested, and those guys back into the bullpen are really strong for Houston. He was close to 100 pitches. He wasn't going to go 9. So why not keep him fresh in case you need him for a couple of innings if there's a game 7, He might even be able to shoot. Game 7 would be Sunday. Tonight's Wednesday. He'd probably be able to give you 5 good innings on Sunday if you give him some rest. So I thought they had the game in hand.
Here's the question. We're 4 games into this series. It's 2-2. If I said to you, which team is more in control of this series, with it now being a best of 3, who are you going with?
Well, you got Wheeler going tomorrow against probably Verlander, and then you've got I always forget the second guy.
Ranger Suarez.
No, that's for the Phillies. The Astros guy, the second guy, he's pretty good, but he got who is
McCullers.
it?
Urquidy?
No, not McCullers. It was the
Urquidy?
No. The guy who pitched game 2. Let me look it up.
God damn it, Dan.
I can't even think of the guy's name, but he's supposed to be pretty good.
I'll tell you who it is.
Valdez.
Fromber.
Yeah, Valdez. Yeah. He's pretty tough. So I don't know. I like the Astros. The fact they have 2 at home, and I got to tell you, I was listening to pregame. I was driving around today, and I was really ticked off at Jim Bowden, former Cincinnati Reds GM, and I think he might have been a GM for a couple other teams. But boy, he was really dishing Dusty, like big time. Like Dusty's not a good postseason manager. He could get you there, but we've talked to other people, and they'll say he'll get you there to the playoffs, but he can't get the job done in the postseason because he's not good at X's and O's. He's a people person, but he doesn't know how to run and manage his pitching staff. And I was like, I don't know what Bowden has against Dusty, but it kind of really ticked me off because it was like, what has Dusty done? Are you going to go back to the Ortiz game? Okay.
In fairness to Bowden, there's been two guys blow 5-run leads in the World Series, and both of them were Dusty. But I hear what you're saying. There are people that believe that Dusty Baker is loyal to a fault. That if you carry out loyalty and you carry it to whatever point, it can be a weakness. But I guess I would debate it as, okay, Ned Colletti one time told me that he felt like Dusty Baker was the best manager in the game from the last pitch to the first pitch. Not the first pitch to the last pitch, the last pitch to the first pitch. In other words, from when the game ends to the next day, at keeping your guys, running your clubhouse, keeping everybody going, keeping everybody motivated, that he was the best at that. I don't want to say it was a backhand slap at Dusty, because I'm not going to insinuate that Ned was ripping Dusty, but that has been the yin and the yang. That has been the kind of the point that's gone back and forth with Dusty, that he's a great leader of men, but that some of the X's and O's that he leans on in October have been faulty. That he stays with his starter too long.
He didn't have anybody ready the other night when when Verlander up 5-0, he started getting rocked. You got to have a guy ready to go. You can't have, get a guy up after he's given up, 2-3 runs.
A lot of people felt that he should have pulled McCullers down 4-0.
Exactly. And I see that point too. I agree with that. It's just the way he was kind of saying it. It's just, I don't know. It made me want to.
It was the tone.
Yeah, the tone was kind of like
I know more than you, and you, what the hell do you know, kind of a thing.
Yeah, just kind of basically just saying Dusty's not a good manager at all in the postseason. He's not known for his X's and O's, and he's, and I'm just like, well, you got to get there first of all, and he gets you there. So, but it's just the tone. I mean, I have no real skin in this game, really. When it comes down to it, whoever wins, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. But I want to see Dusty win the championship. That's the bottom line.
I think this is his last best shot. Go ahead, Rye. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, honestly, maybe if we're talking 20 years ago, I understand that point a little bit more. But nowadays, it seems pretty uniform that the managers aren't even necessarily making all of these decisions. So I feel like a guy who can control the clubhouse, outside of the game and is a leader of men and has a good temperature on the locker room and all that kind of stuff should be considered a premium nowadays. That is what you want. That's a good supplementation with all the analytics and everything. And look, I mean, it's not his fault that Verlander, got shelled the other night. I mean, you can talk about McCullers leaving him in a little bit, but I mean, at some point those it's on the players. So I think that's stupid. I think it's just it's like the dumb stuff Steph Curry's not blah, blah, blah until he gets the finals MVP. And then it's all right, so we wake up 24 hours after he gets the finals MVP and all of a sudden he's drastically different player. Dusty, I mean, whether they win or not, Dusty's a great manager.
I mean, when Dusty was managing the Giants, he made some horrendous mistakes in October. I mean, the ball flipped to Ortiz in Game 6 against the Angels. You just don't do that. I mean, he did that for everybody to see. He incited the Angels. They admitted as much. Later after that series was over. I also thought he made the wrong call in Game 7 where, if you had watched that series closely for the Giants' perspective, the Angels were a really, really good team, and they were a really good offensive team that year, but they had struggled against left-handed pitching. And Kirk Reeder had shut him down earlier in that series. Chad Zerbe had shut him down early in that series. And he had a choice to go to Reeder or Levon in Game 7, and he went to Levon. And Levon lost. And who knows? Personally, I think he went with the wrong guy there, not because of personality, but just because of, as I said, lefty-righty. And I think the Angels weren't touching the lefties that year. But still, there's a lot of these things are 20/20 hindsight. There's a lot of pressure. Some people, here's the bottom line too. Some people are always looking to do things the same way they've done them all year. And I think one thing that Bruce Bochy kind of showed is that while it might be comfortable to sit there and say, hey, man, if it's good enough for my club in May, it's good enough for my club in July, it's good enough for my club in October. But a guy like Bochy didn't manage that way. He managed like it was different with more urgency. He didn't manage it like a May game.
Making on the radio the urgency, the lack of urgency, and I could see that. I mean, you're in the World Series. You're down to your last.
I mean, look at Boch in Game 7, right? He had Tim Hudson out there. He easily could have stayed with Tim Hudson and said, "Hey, Tim Hudson's won X number of games in the big leagues, and he's been an ace for so long." Nope.
Yeah, he went to
Affelt, right?
Affelt in the bottom of the second.
Was it Affelt that he went to?
Yeah, Affelt, and that was the play that later on in that game. That was the play Panik made the double play, getting Hosmer diving into first. I think Affelt went 2 1/3 maybe that game. I think
he went to Bum
in the 5th. Yeah, 5 through 9. Yeah, I think Affelt went. I think that was in either the bottom of the second or bottom of the third. I want to say bottom of the second, and maybe Affelt went. Did he get him all the way through the 4th?
Or I think he did.
Yeah, he went 2 1/3. He went 2 1/3. He pitched
But I mean, Boch had talked about that. He had thought about it. He had thought about, what do I want to do here? What do I want to do here? I'm going to go to a reliever. I'm going to settle down the game, and then I'm going to Bum. And then instead of just having his head tell him, well, Bum's got this many pitches, he's probably tired. He trusted his gut, and he went with what he saw. And he saw a lefty out there who was in cruise control, and he just left him out there. He had Santiago Casilla, who was rested and ready. And he just said, no, you know what? My eyes tell me Bum's in cruise control, and I'm not going to blow this. I'm going to, I'm gonna ride with Bum because he, my eyes tell me he's got it going. I guarantee you, the analytics, if there were any, said get Bum the hell out of the game. Right? He's on 2 days rest. He was on 2 days rest. It made no sense to stay with him, but he did.
The second there's a right-handed batter, he's gone. I mean, a left-handed batter. Right-handed.
No, right-handed batter. You got it right.
Yeah, you got it right.
Yeah, he actually got Perez the last out. Perez was actually hurting. He got hit that game in the. I'm trying to remember if it was his leg. Did he get hit by a pitch or something? Or Salvador Perez? He wasn't able to move much, and he had no.
He's the guy who popped out to end it, right?
Yeah, exactly. But he was hurting at the end of the game.
I mean, you guys remember that? Remember the Gregor Blanco play in the outfield where Alex Gordon got held at third? I always wonder if the Royals had sent Alex Gordon.
He would have been out by 15 feet. Crawford had just got the ball when he was.
I know, but you're banking on a perfect throw.
Crawford, man.
I know, but I mean,
he was gassed running to third. He was coming in third. He was gassed. If they sent him home,
the pressure though to make the play is pretty tremendous right there.
Crawford to Posey,
There's something. This is why I love postseason baseball because, things that are just like non-factors, like there's such non-factors that you almost would not even notice it. Like if you went to a game this summer and you and Rye were sitting in the upper deck or something at the Giants game and the ball got away from the first baseman and the runners moved up 90 feet and one of them scored. It's like, if I said to you guys, hey, how was the game? Oh, it was a great game. You might tell me 15 different things before you would even mention that. In October, where everything's magnified, it's just like, and then you're never going to believe what happened. There's an error and guys moved up 90 feet. It's like, it just puts such an added importance in every 90 feet. And it just makes the game incredible. It takes a game that's like relaxing in April and May. Like if you go to a baseball game in April or March, your spring training, April or May or June, it's pretty relaxing. You see that same game in September with money on the line or October in a playoff situation, and it's like everybody's gripping. It's like every. I mean, it's torture. The same game that if you'd watched in April or March, you'd been like, I was just getting some sun. You know what I mean?
There's a whole different feeling to it, too, for the players. I mean, I remember playing when I was 15, playing in Babe Ruth, during the regular season, just laughing, having a fun time out there, joking around. Then you get into the All-Star game. And all of a sudden, it's like, man, every pitch, you're kind of a little nervous. You go up to the bat, you're a little bit, you got a first time, you're just kind of, you got getting the nerves out. It takes a couple innings. But then as the game gets closer to the end, if it's a tight score, every pitch is like, you're thinking, man, what are they going to do if they hit it to me? They're going to hit it to me. I can't blow it. I can't blow it. It's like, got to get to it. It's tight.
Translation, hey, did you guys know I was an all-star?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't make the playoffs, so we didn't have playoffs. So that's the only thing I could relate it to is being nervous for that, because regular games is like, they even said Nick Castellanos the other night that about his play in right field. It's been tremendous in the playoffs. He actually said it's pretty hard to get up for every pitch during the regular season. But
that was an amazing interview. I saw that interview as well. I mentioned it to Willard today. Nick Castellanos is thought of as a subpar defensive outfielder. He has played a terrific defensive outfield in this series. They asked him about it after game 1 or game 2, and he's like, yeah, in the regular season, it's hard to pay attention out there.
Exactly.
That's what he said. That's what he said. In the regular season, it's hard to pay attention, but in the playoffs, with so much on the line, that it's easy to. So his struggles as a defender all have to do with his inability to pay attention in the outfield. Think about that for a second. That's an amazing acknowledgement by a professional.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty good too, because it means that so he's basically saying like pressure's not a problem for me. It's just more so like it's just like when I get into the postseason, it's like I'm more focused. I'm not more stressed out. I'm just more focused.
Yeah.
By the way, it's funny. We're watching this World Series. It looks like two very evenly distributed talent on these two teams. The Astros won 106. The Phillies won 87 games.
Yeah.
The Astros won 19 more games than the Phillies. I mean, that's hard to believe. Philly was under 500 on the road. I mean, they were 40-41 on the road. I mean, the Astros went 51-30 on the road.
You get hot at the right time, and I mean, look at the Giants in 10 and barely made it into the playoffs. The last week or two, chasing the Padres, they get in, and then they just miraculously beat Atlanta, and then go on to beat the Phillies. So
that's the thing about the baseball playoffs is you never know.
Remember when the Giants played the Phillies earlier this year? I remember being on like a Phillies message board, like just checking out like what they're saying about their team, and it was just they hated this team beyond belief. It was just everyone, they were saying, oh, it's just nonstop errors, and these guys don't even care about playing baseball. They're all here just showing up for paychecks. And I mean, it's been a pretty awesome ride for them. I'm rooting for the Phillies just because like they're fans, man. Like it's those home runs. There really is nothing like a home run in playoff baseball because everyone's so freaking stressed out in the stadium, and then it's just a collective, just release of all the stress, and it just feels like you're.
Oh, Philly fans are brutal. Did you see the thing I sent you from when McCullers warming up in the bullpen last night for the game?
He called it.
Oh, but he was all riding his so hard. It was hilarious. But man, yeah, Philly fans are. If those guys, they'll be fine. Philly fans are good if you're not expected to win, but if you're expected to win and you don't, oh man, they're worse than New York.
Well, but because they're 19 less wins, I think the Astros are the overwhelming favorite here. It is amazing though. Philly beat St. Louis twice. Then they won 3 out of 4 from Atlanta, dispatched them quickly. Then they won 4 out of 5 against San Diego, put them away quickly. Right. And now it's a 2-2 series going to the final 3 games of the season. Depending on how it goes. I really, the one thing was great to see. It was incredible to see how much momentum Philly had in their yard last game and how the Astros went about taking that momentum away. I mean, that's
completely turned the tide with a no-hitter. They went from 5 home runs to being no-hit. Now, everything tomorrow night is so critical. I mean, it's a must-win, in my opinion, for Philly tomorrow night, because if they lose and go to Houston down 3-2, I don't see them winning it. But if they win
now tomorrow it's Verlander Syndergaard, right?
Yeah, and Verlander has a ERA of like close to 6 in the World Series.
Right.
He is not.
Yeah, he's gotten hit hard.
He hasn't pitched a good game yet, and so he's.
And then game 6 would not be till Monday.
No, Saturday.
Or Saturday
and Sunday. Game 7. It would end Sunday night. So they would be going what they wanted to avoid, but the rain out. They wanted to
going up against the
NFL. And I mean, if they go Sunday night, who is the Sunday night game?
It's Ravens, isn't it? Ravens Saints.
Yeah.
I think that's Monday. Or no,
that's
Sunday.
Monday. That's Monday.
Oh, it's a better
Bucks,
game,
isn't it?
Who is it?
Is it Bucks Rams?
I got it right here. Sunday, week 9.
It's Titans Chiefs.
Titans Chiefs. Yeah.
More people will be watching Titans Chiefs than Game 7 of the World Series.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully the Chiefs put him away early and.
Wait a minute. Yeah, you'd think that Major League Baseball.
Why don't they play a day game on the weekends? What happened to a day World Series game?
Yeah,
what about how about a doubleheader?
Doubleheader.
I get doubleheader. How about How about 2 7-inning doubleheaders or 2 7-inning games
with the Manfred rule?
Wait, guys. So I'm about to drop off, and I'll join again in the studio. But I'm about to go in the garage. I got to show you. So I picked up my girlfriend, and of course I brought Ringo with. You got to see this whole car ride. Look at him. So.
Where's the girlfriend? She.
Look at
there
Ringo.
she is. She's in the back with Ringo.
Ringo's eyes are like glowing.
He's sitting on Ringo. I mean, Ringo's sitting on your girlfriend, right? Or next to her.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and there's an open seat right here. He just hopped in the back.
Ringo's drinking in the lovin'. He's drinking and he's getting the neck
wait a
rub.
minute.
He's
Wait
like,
a minute.
You know what?
Girlfriend's name? What's your girlfriend's name?
Jessica.
Jessica. He saved the front seat for the dog, and you're in the back seat. Warning signs.
Bad sign.
All right. Okay.
All right, we'll see you in a bit. The text, Brian Lucena. You make your girlfriend ride in the back? Let her know who's boss. Oh, great. That's great. That's all we need. Can we disrupt Ryan's union before the end of this live stream? An amazing night though for this matchup between the Astros and the Phillies. Just watching the Phillies and how much momentum they had and how much offense they had. And oh my God, everybody's up there taking hacks and they're looking big time. And then the Astros just turned off their water tonight. And it was something else. I mean, it was something else to watch. And Christian Javier, oh my goodness. What a pitcher, huh? I mean, the breaking stuff, the command. I mean, he was painting. It was impressive. I mean,
it was.
Astros top to bottom, Danny, have really good pitching. Montero, nasty. Presley, nasty. Javier's nasty. I mean, I have yet to see anybody out of their, coming out of their, on the mound for them, coming out of their pen or starting. That's at all iffy. I mean, that's a really good pitching staff, top to bottom, isn't it?
Oh yeah. No, it's the crazy thing about baseball. It's like my guess is the Phillies will struggle to make the playoffs next year. Just because that's just the way baseball goes. But
what if 1 through 5? By the way, we're talking about the Giants and what can the Giants do,
gosh.
And the Giants. Listen to 1 through 5 in Phillies lineup: Schwarber, Hoskins, Real Muto, Harper, Castellanos.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Every
single one of those guys, if they were on the Giants, they'd hit third.
Yeah. I was thinking about this.
And the Astros too. Altuve, Pena, Alvarez, Bregman, Tucker, Gurriel. I mean, that's an incredible 1 through 6.
I was thinking about this, how if the Giants could take one of those top 5 guys, I mean, obviously Harper's the best, but excluding Harper, I would have loved to have had Schwarber. I mean, what a guy to have leadoff, man. The guy just hits the ball hard. He makes solid contact. And but it's interesting. Grant Brisbee put out a tweet.
Why couldn't they have gone after him? He hit 218. By the way, you know what? We're talking about a guy in Schwarber, and I love him too. And I was advocating the Giants go after him. 218 is what he hit this year.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do. I think a lot of that. These guys, I bet you're going to see averages.
Guess what he hit against lefties?
Yeah,
193.
Wow. Wow.
But he had 46 bombs, drove in 94 runs.
Yeah.
But 232 against right-handed pitching, 193 against left-handed pitching.
I got to believe that averages are going to go up by 20 plus
That's
points
ridiculous.
next year. Don't you think averages will go up without the shift 20 points next year with most guys? I can't believe that guys hitting in the low twos wouldn't be hitting 230, 240. Especially, those lefties that they put that pull on them, that switch. So no more of this guy out in right field. You're, putting a guy out in shallow right field because the rule is infielders, the infielders have to be on the dirt on each side of the bag. But I thought of a shift that might be pretty interesting, and I wonder if you'll see it next year. Who might get creative by when you're up against a dead pull left-handed hitter, bringing your left fielder in to play shallow right field where you see the second base, and just have no left fielder and see if the guy hits it out there.
Risk.
Yeah, but how many times does these guys that pulled ever hit one into left field? Not too often.
No, hardly at all. Yeah. When you see that lineup, though, with that Philly has with, Stott, Segura, and Marsh hitting 7, 8, 9, I'm sitting there going, Stott, Segura, and Marsh, those guys might hit in the 3-hole for the Giants.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I mean, that's how decrepit the Giants lineup has become.
It's interesting in that 2019 draft, Stotts was drafted after Hunter Bishop and Will Wilson. He's playing in the World Series, and Hunter Bishop and Will Wilson are in like Double-A. What does that tell you about the Giants?
Double-A? I'm not even sure if that's accurate. I think they might be an A.
Bishop was high A and Wilson was Double-A. That's right.
High A. And then Bohm was in the same draft as Bart. I think he was drafted right behind Bart. He was drafted third. He's been up all year. And, I don't know what's going on with the Giants development, but they better get it right this year. Nothing's going on.
They need to get it right this year. Those guys need to develop.
Seriously. I mean, Kyle Haynes and, Michael Holmes and these guys, I'm not going to say anything bad about them, but it's go time. It's go time. It's time for them to hit on something.
They brought in, whatever his name is. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Is it
Pete Petula?
Yeah, he's noted for player development. And so maybe he's going to take over that role and see what happens, kind of be the guy over the minor leagues that kind of helps develop that. Because if they don't get several guys moved up this year, start jumping levels that they're counting on, something's got to happen. Because
Nick says Pistol Pete Putilla. Yeah. Brian Lucina's got a couple good ones in here. This one makes me laugh. I'd put Yaz and Wade up against any Phillies hitter.
Grant Brisbane tweeted out a few weeks ago that he was during the maybe even not even 2 weeks. He said, when I'm watching this Phillies team, I can't help but see the Giants. Like, he compared the Giants and the Phillies. And I responded, I said, wait a minute. You got Schwarber and Harper and Hoskins and Real Muto and who's the other one I'm missing?
I don't know, but the Giants are the equivalent of the Phillies, kid brother.
He tried to compare Peterson and Flores.
Stop.
Yeah, and I'm like, come on.
Please don't. There's too many people, and I'm not saying Brisbee's one of them because he seems like a pretty straight shooter, but there's too many people who are just gigantic suck asses. You know what I mean? They're just sitting there for the, hoping that they don't get stank eye, hoping that if they just kiss ass relentlessly, that maybe somebody will throw them a bone. It's like, dude, have some self-respect.
He came back and he said,
what are you doing?
I'll give you Real Muto and Harper, but yeah, he kind of thought Schwarber was Peter. Yeah, I'm like, there's no Schwarber hit 46, Jock hit
46 home runs. Yeah, sorry,
he doubled him. Yeah, he doubled him, and then you've got, like you said, you got Hoskins, you got Castellanos, the other one. Yeah, he was saying how bad Castellanos played.
Why did the Giants not sign Castellanos?
They were after him supposedly the year before or 2 years earlier, whatever it was.
Why?
I don't know why. Maybe.
That's the thing about the Giants. It's
didn't want to block.
If they spend money, that's one. Yeah, block prospects.
That's what Farhan said.
And next time Farhan or anybody associated with the Giants ever brings up the concept of not signing a free agent to not block a Giant prospect, it should just be greeted with a belly laugh. I mean, seriously, what? Show me the prospect that's blocked. That is such loser talk. Well, you know what? We have prospects. They're just blocked, by Wade and Yaz and, my God, the Giants, it's sad, but it's there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be patting the Giants on the back for spending their money this offseason. I think the first question that needs to be asked as they go spend this money this offseason is, where the fuck was this spending last year? Yeah. They just took people like yourself, Danny, for total granted. They're just like, you know what? We'll just pull one over on our season ticket holders and screw them, and they're stupid. What do they know? And they'll just keep paying. You know what I mean?
And Buster gave him plenty of notice.
Wrong.
It wasn't like Buster, just said he was retiring in spring training. He said he was retiring right after the season ended. He gave him all winter long to fix the problem.
Right. Well, and everybody knew that he meant more than his stats. So you knew the team was going to backslide. And then for them to just kind of pocket their money when they had that much and the Dodgers and Padres were so far beyond them, now it just kind of puts more of a pressure on them to get off their can and actually do something this year. But I mean, how embarrassing would it be to have the kind of wealth that they have and to be such cheap asses? Yeah. I mean, it's like, it would be like somebody living in Pacific Heights who turns off their lights on Halloween because they don't want to spend money on Halloween candy. You're sitting inside of a house that, is worth $2.9 million, but you've darkened the lights out front because you don't want to spend $1.99 to go buy a bag of candy to give it. I mean, it's that kind of stupid crap that, it's like, and that's the thing. There will be people that will sit there and will hail the Giants for being like incredibly smart and wise for spending money this offseason, and then just totally ignoring the fact that last offseason they did jack. Yeah, as they wave goodbye to Bryant and Posey and Donnie Barrels and replaced them with nobody and did absolutely nothing to make their team interesting at all. Nothing at all that would ever make you go, you know what? I think I'm going to call the Giants and order some tickets. Did you see who they got? Yeah. It's like, no, they're like, our season ticket holders are fucking idiots and they're just going to re-up no matter what. These people don't know baseball and they know what we tell them they know and they'll just do it. And so it's like, they're sheep. And then they took it. They took their fans for granted. They just took it on the chops. They finished 35 games behind the Dodgers. They were a total tire fire all summer. Most boring as shit team. Most boring Giants team in my lifetime. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, the most boring Giants team in my lifetime.
Oh, very much so. Yeah.
No
didn't have
stars, nothing to see here, nothing to watch.
not even any prospects that were exciting. I mean, Bart was for a while, but it was like there was, nobody go, oh, this guy to look forward to coming back.
Nothing. Just absolutely nothing.
And Jonathan's brother here, Calba, says Jonathan Kaminga. I'm calling him Kamiga. But what does he say?
He's got this. Dan, have the Giants front office contacted you again about season tickets? Would a promise of Padlo, Papirski, and Fairchild trifecta get you to hand over your credit card info?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though, Calba. If you want to give me Travis Etienne in fantasy, I'll give you Jonathan Taylor and Clay.
Don't be making your one-sided deals here.
Come on, give me Travis Etienne and DJ
Eric
Venus. If you're in the house,
the Giant, let it happen. Let it happen.
What happened to DJ Venus? He hasn't showed up tonight.
DJ Venus took it on the chops for me last week in the fantasy.
I put in a trade request for him, and he doesn't look at the thing though. So.
Calba donates $10. I'll believe it when I see it. I hope they actually make an effort to get some big names instead of conveniently coming in second on every meaningful free agent. Yeah, is there anything less satisfying than we kicked tires and we made hey, I'm serious when I say this. We made a real serious run at them. Who cares? I mean, seriously. Is there anything lamer than, hey, we put our hat in the ring and we were a contender? I mean, that's like saying, hey, I went to 7-Eleven and I bought a lottery ticket. I was all in. I didn't win, but I went to 7-Eleven and I got that ticket. So what? You know what I mean? What are you, at the end of the day, what are you even talking about? Who cares? Yeah, that was the Giants this last year. We were involved in the deal flow. We just didn't see anything that made sense. Great. Yeah, when your fans didn't see any games that made sense for them to buy tickets to either. The Giants had the lowest ticket sales this year of any year since they opened the ballpark.
Wow.
See, and you can tell, you want to say that fans are fans and they don't know crap. They knew enough to stay away from this garbage. They knew enough not to give the Giants any of their money this summer. I think the Bay Area sports fan is fucking smart and a lot more up on it than people think. Yeah, people don't get into the minutia here like they do in other places, but don't confuse that for they don't know the game.
Right.
They know the game and they saw you pocketing all the money and they said, you know what? I'm still a Giants fan. I'll check in next year. And that's what they did. And if the Giants go make a big run at somebody or several somebodies, they'll be back. They'll be back, but they're not going to endorse or, throw their money behind some third-rate product with some group of millionaires on their way to being billionaires, skimming off the top. You want to skim off the top? Skim off the top. You're not going to fool the fans. The fans here are smart. Yep. And Bomber T says, tell him like it is, Larry. Yeah. I mean, I am. There's just no question about it. You can't sit there and be like, these Giants fans are idiots. No, they ain't. No, they're not. They saw that you were skimming off the top. They saw that your farm system was dead in the water. They saw that you had not accumulated anything. And they said, that's it. We're not going. And nobody went. And it was a beautiful thing. And because these people collectively used their brain and said, screw you, Giants, I ain't going. Only then are these millionaires and future billionaires getting off their ass and spending their money. Yep. And it's so perfect because it's like, you know what? The fans are the ones that are bringing this off season. The fans are the ones. Do you think Farhan wants to pursue Aaron Judge? Hell no. He wants to show us how smart he is by finding the 29th rated Tampa Bay Rays 40-man roster guy who's up their 38th man on the roster who becomes an everyday guy for the Giants. So Farhan can sit there and go, look how smart I am. Look how smart I am. That's what he's in it for. He's in it for look how smart I am. And fine, you're smart. You finished 32 games back. In a major market, somehow, some way, you got to lead the most boring Giants team in history. Yeah. You were the architect for the most boring Giants team in history, and only because your ownership group is just going to dictate terms to you. Are they going to actually change their ways? If it was up to him, they'd still do the same damn thing, but they're not because the ownership's like, no, listen, dude. You sit there and we'll tell everybody you're smart, but you do what we tell you to do. Or there's the door.
Look who's playing, though, the two teams in the World Series. The lineups are pretty much the same every night, whether it's a righty or a lefty. There's no platoon crap.
It's not. Here's my lefty lineup. Here's my righty lineup.
Yeah, they didn't have that. The other teams didn't either. The Padres didn't. The Dodgers didn't. The Yankees didn't. Who else got knocked out? St. Louis,
Cleveland.
They all just put out their. There might be one guy different that maybe sits.
There's nobody going with 6 platoons between guys who can't play.
And that's far. I'm telling you, I think.
The Giants acted like Lamont Wade was a major leaguer. The Giants acted like Yaz had worth. I mean, seriously. I mean, Yaz is terrible. Somebody was making some point the other day on the radio, and they're like, "Well, except for Yaz." What are you talking about? Yaz has hit 212 the last couple of years. Wake up. He ain't that great. And Wade is not even big league. And the Giants hit those guys at the top of the lineup like it was Wade Boggs and Tony Gwynn.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Wade Boggs
and leading off, Lamont Wade hitting 175. And in the 2-hole, Mike Yastrzemski. Yeah, way to go, Cap. Way to go, Cap. As you super creative, just marching out that crap at the top of your lineup night after night after night.
At one point, I made a
beautiful.
At one point, I made a tweet that the Giants' 2 top hitters in the lineup, Wade and Yaz, were hitting 390
combined.
Combined that George Brett hit in 1980, hit 392 or something for the season. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So the Giants.
Combined.
Oh my God.
I mean, I can see it. You're 8 and 9 guys, but you got your 1-2 are hitting below George Brett's best season. How does that?
There was a Giants game. There was a Giants game this summer, and I was watching it, and I forget what day it was, but they were down 2-1. They were down 2-1. They got to the 6th. Somebody hit a 2-run shot. Dan, I swear to you, 1,500 people got up and walked out. It was 4-1 in the 6th. I mean, it was a 2-1 game. Somebody hit a 2-run shot. Everybody left. And guess what? They were right to leave because the Giants left it at 4-1. And I think only got like one more hit the rest of the game.
Yeah.
When 4-1 in the 6th is time to head for the exits. I mean, that's bad, man. That's bad.
You hear about that kid that was traded in the Bryant Canaro? He got some kind of injury.
Yeah, I saw he got hurt.
Some kind of where he's going to be out for maybe all year next year or something. Or
I didn't think it was that level of an injury.
I saw it was yesterday. A scary injury. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was a knee or what he did, but they said it was a freakish type injury. I'll have to look it up.
He's got great bat speed, but Eric L. says the main prospect we gave up for him was Canario. He was toiling in low A for us. He's a top 20 prospect now. This year he was split the year between high A, double A, and triple A and hit 37 bombs and drove in 97. I will say this. I saw Canario, and Canario has crazy bat speed. He broke his ankle. That was it. Romo said broke his ankle. Yeah, well, that's terrible. That's terrible. I mean,
Okay,
that's one
so
thing.
what happened to him?
But he's got crazy bat speed, though.
This was just recently, maybe a week or two ago. Somebody's writing, says, I have to admit, he was talking about all the good stuff of the World Series. He says, I have to admit, the Alexander Canario injury last night has brought me way down. If you missed it, Canario was trying to avoid the first baseman in a game in the Dominican Winter League last night, misstepped at first base, badly breaking his ankle, then dislocating his shoulder upon hitting the ground.
Oh, God,
it made
sounds
me
awful.
feel sick last night, and that hasn't really worn off. Ugh. Yeah, so I don't know, man. That's
Hey, Spider 8 says if Wade and Yaz are on the team next season, fuck it. Stay in your camping trip, Kapler. Kapler.
Oh my gosh. Is that what he's doing? He's camping right now or something?
Who knows? He's just he's such a fraud. There's something about Kapler that's just so phony. Everything's so for effect. Every question I asked him, he's like, "That's a great question, Larry." Really? Every single question I ever asked you was a great question? I mean, he's just so fake. Could you imagine if every time you ask a question, I'm like, Danny, that is a great question. And I'm just constantly patting you on the head. Oh, just so stupid. And I just felt like Cap is just such a wannabe intellectual. You know, he's a baseball player. He's a baseball player. Come on. You're not a you're not Moberg. You're not Javi Lopez. You know, right. I'm incredibly deep. I've got all these great opinions about everything. I just found him to be so phony. And the more I see him and the more I see the way people interact around him, I'm like, why is everybody pussyfoot around that guy? Like, it's like you would swear he was like John McGraw.
I think the one that put me over the edge with him was when he was in the dugout and they're interviewing him on his birthday. I guess it was the day after his birthday, and they said something about his cake that was not a real cake. It was made out of meat, like steak, because he doesn't eat cake. And they said something about
another reason not to like the guy.
Yeah. And they said, you didn't have a piece of your birthday cake. And he says, well, I really didn't want to have it because I didn't feel like it was just because it was my birthday forced to eat it. I want to eat it when I want to eat it and when I can enjoy it more. And I'm like, dude, people just went to trouble to get you to do something nice for you. The least you could do is, take
Seriously.
a bite of it and act like you liked it. I mean, come on.
Somebody should shove that cake in his pie hole.
Be great.
It's funny. It's funny. I'm at the Niners complex doing some Niner interviews a couple weeks back. And one of the cameramen for one of the TV stations, and I didn't recognize the guy. He said that he was a cameraman for, I think it was NBC Sports Bay Area, but I'm not really sure. And he's like, oh, man, I heard you on your live stream a few weeks back just ripping the crap out of Kapler, calling him a phony, saying he was a fake. He goes, I was there and filmed all of his stuff all summer. He's like, when you said that, I was like, oh, my God, how does he know him so well? He's like, you were so right. This guy is such a phony. He's like, he's one way with the camera on. He's a totally different way with the camera off. He's just like, everything's planned and it's just, everything's for effect. And I'm like, you can tell. You can totally tell.
How long do you think it takes to put just to put his stirrup socks on and he wears his pants high like he's still playing, He acts like he's Jose Altuve when he's out there. He's got his pants way up and then he walks out to the mound. Yeah.
Mr. K Swiss.
Yeah.
He had like a big deal with K Swiss. Great Mr. K Swiss.
Got his beard perfectly
manicured.
Yeah.
Beard.
Everything's like all,
Yeah.
It's just like
Kerr talks out about a subject. I'm going to talk out about a subject. Take me seriously, world.
Yeah, Boch,
All right,
man, he just
all
puts
right,
his uniform.
lefty righty master.
Boch puts his uniform on, is hanging out. You know, it's like hey, I think I'll give me a beer here.
Seriously. Now you
Boch
got this
is
guy
great,
with his.
man. I got to get me a Texas Rangers hat. That's the team I'm going to pull for next year in the American League.
Yeah,
I want to
seriously.
I want to see Bochy win. I want to see Bochy win one more. And I think that would be awesome.
Oh, it would be incredible. It would be absolutely incredible.
As long as they're not playing the Giants.
Mark Graves, what a douche. Eddie says, I called it, Larry. You weren't lazy there. Larry, you're lazy. You're lazy. Let me tell you right now, Larry, you're lazy. Big Tone 707. I think it was chicken, broccoli, and rice that is what he eats every day. So that's what the cake was made out of. I think he said, I usually don't eat cake, but I will because you guys made it. Great. Chicken, broccoli, and rice. Aren't you healthy?
Kapler shaves his chest.
Mark Failer donates $4.99. Gary, I think he meant Larry, but great show today. Curious why no one talked about it, though. Pat McAfee had Dave Lombardi on earlier regarding the possibility of Odell. Thoughts? I don't see the need for Odell. I really don't. You already, that's another guy that's going to be counting his touches, and they got a lot of weapons. I'd rather see them get Danny Gray loose down the field. Odell's got great hands, and he's a terrific possession receiver. If you needed to, really throw a laser in the red zone, you could throw it to him at 100 miles an hour, and he'd probably catch it. He's got that kind of elite hands. But okay, so you got right now you got Elijah Mitchell. And you got Juice in the backfield, and then you're going to put McCaffrey in the slot, right? And then you got Ayuk, and you got Debo, and you got Kittle. So now, what are you doing with Ray? What are you doing with Danny Gray? And then what would you do with OBJ? I don't see the need. I really don't. If OBJ played corner, I'm all over it. If he played D tackle, bring him down, bring it on. But at wide receiver, I don't think they need OBJ. I think he's a name that people talk about because they know that name. But I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't get the OBJ fascination.
I think one thing that I was thinking about this with their offense, with their weapons. I mean, you've got now, you could Ayuk, Samuel, McCaffrey, Kittle, Juszczyk, all these guys can be weapons. You can even, when you bring in Jennings, the middle of the field, I've got a feeling we may start to see some runs by Jimmy where we see him slide down, take 7 yards, I think the middle of the field with McCaffrey now, they're going to have to put a spy or something on McCaffrey when he's in the backfield or, obviously guard him one-on-one. And if Kyle starts designing plays to leave the middle of the field completely wide open and guys are running down deep, they're 20 yards down. Right. Jimmy may just have to learn to take that 8-10 yards and get down. He needs to add that. He needs to be able to add that to his game.
I would say more than anything, Danny, don't worry about making plays. Jimmy tries to make every fucking play. You don't have to make every play. Throw it away.
Either throw it away or run.
Look at the number of throwaway passes that Brady has. Look at the number of throwaway passes that Rodgers has. Look at the number of throwaway passes that Lamar has, and Mahomes. And then look at the number that Jimmy has. Jimmy never throws it away. He'll pitter-patter his feet and float some duck in the middle of the field, and it will get picked. And then he walks back to the sideline, shaking his head, going, I can't throw that.
Yeah,
Stop
I want to see them
making negative plays. Avoid negative plays. If you don't have it, throw it away. You'd rather punt than throw an interception on the goal line. You'd rather kick a field goal than throw an interception on the goal line. Be smarter with the ball. And let's just be, I think it's almost like an acknowledgement. It's like, I'm going to try to make every play. Okay, that's a great attitude to have. but there also has to be some acknowledgement that, you know what? Every play cannot be made. And so I'll be better off throwing it into the turf and going to the next play. And, if you've ever watched your defense, teams thrive. Defenses feed off of those huge negative plays from the offense. If you don't give it to them, like if you're chasing down a Mahomes, let's say a couple of games ago against the Chiefs, and you got Bosa chasing him down, do you want Bosa to sack him and throw him to the ground and maybe have jar the ball loose and maybe knock him out or do it? Or do you want Mahomes just to throw it down into the turf and go to the next play? You want the sack. You want the sack. You want the hit. You want the turnover. You want the huge negative play. The incomplete pass is just an incomplete pass. You went from 1st and 10 to 2nd and 10, from 2nd and 10 to 3rd and 10. Right. That's not a huge negative play. That doesn't get you beat. The turnover gets you beat. The sack fumble gets you beat.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like,
That's
oh my God,
I
stop
really
trying to make every play, Jimmy. Throw it away.
I think they've got to figure a way to incorporate him taking off and giving what the defense, take what the defense gives you. In other words, if you see that nobody's open downfield, but you could either throw it away or you can run safely for 3, 5, 10 yards and get down, do it. He used to
get
run.
Down, slide.
He used to run.
Russell does it.
Even Rodgers will run now and then. Look, and he's almost 40. Brady will run still.
Well, I don't know about that.
Not much, but you saw him run the other night. Brady, he was running. I think it was that Thursday night game. He got a pretty good run.
Josh Allen does it. Run, yeah. How many times runs? Yeah, and you run, that breaks the back of the defense. Yeah.
I don't know why.
My God.
He's capable of running. I don't know why. And to me, it's got to happen. They've got to almost start sending guys deep enough so that the defense, Kyle needs to send the receivers deep enough so that they're not stacking the box with 8 guys. And
what they got to do is they got to hopefully get to, play. Hopefully they get some of these, man to man. They get some man to man coverage. Everybody turns their back on Jimmy. Then you take off and run. When you're in a zone, it's just like they're staring right at you.
Oh yeah.
Then they're going to start you. But if they're going to play man, and with McCaffrey and some of these guys, they may choose to play man. If they do, you got to make them pay. They give you a lane, you got to take it. And absolutely. A couple on here on the text line. Let's see. We've got this one. Brian Lucena. Larry, you've got Mrs. Lucena on the warpath right now about Kapler and Farhan. Brian, that makes me laugh. We got this one from Max. He says, Larry, love the Giants, please. Oh my God. I do love the Giants, but I love them so much that I just have to rip the shit out of them because they were so terrible this year. They were so boring. It was such a bad season. To be bad is one thing. To be bad and boring is inexcusable. That's the other thing. It's like, I would love to see the Giants ownership start dictating a little bit more to Farhan. Don't let him dictate everything to you. He's not that smart. He doesn't have any rings. If he was really this unbelievable genius and he's been in the sport this long, he'd have rings. He has no rings. Do not give him total control. He's got some analytic that he wants to look to that tells him that, Papirski is the right guy and, Vosler is the right guy and Padlow is the right guy. Start prioritizing entertainment. Start prioritizing players the fans want to see. If you're going to sit there with a nothing center fielder, go get Trace Thompson. And maybe you'll have Stephen Clay sitting in the bleachers. And what kind of life would that bring to Oracle Park? That's a better move than some of these other moves. If you're going to go add a veteran starting pitcher, go add Bumgarner. and see if you can get Arizona to throw in a couple guys to boot to take that contract and take some of their young players because you're willing to take on Bumgarner. Go add some people that people give a shit about. Go add some people that people want to come and watch. I'm not saying they have to be the meat and potatoes of your roster, but especially around the edges of your roster, go get guys that are entertaining. Give me athletes. Give me somebody who's fun to watch. Give me somebody that I actually care about. Give me somebody that I'm invested in. If you put Trace Thompson on the Giants, would he make the Giants by himself a playoff team? No. But you might have Steph and Clay sitting in the bleachers every night. And how do you think the vibe's going to be if Steph and Clay are out there every night? And this is just because you have a platoon outfielder. And Bumgarner, you can easily get Bumgarner back. They probably won't do it because they don't show that level of creativity. But, take Bumgarner's contract and force Arizona to give you a couple good young players to do so. Yeah. And now, you get 2 more years of Bum, and he's not the Bum of old. But guess what? People love Bumgarner, and they'll buy tickets to come watch him. So the one thing I think the Giants have to learn, they got to learn it all. They got to learn that, whatever the Dodgers are doing, copy that, because the Dodgers produce far more prospects that work out than you do. But also copy the Padres. Look at the energy that the Padres had in their yard this year. I felt like I was watching a scene from Major League, the movie. I mean, people are dancing and high-fiving, and the vibe is like it's like an amusement park. And look at the vibe at Oracle. It's like you get a bunch of people looking up in the sky hoping that pigeons won't shit on them. Seriously, Giants fans are like, oh, please, I'll do anything to just get through 2 more innings without this seagull shitting on my head. And there's nothing going on. It's the team is boring as sin. There's no athleticism, no power, no speed. Your manager's anal. Your GM's the smartest guy ever, but he has no rings. I mean, it's just like, enough. Start putting together a team. It's not just all about your razor F flip or whatever, some stat. It's also about marketing. It's about energy in the park. And I'm not saying build your whole team around it, but take it into account. Like, who do people actually want to see? That's why I'm intrigued by Aaron Judge, because people want to see Aaron Judge.
Right.
I mean, people want to imagine the energy in the park if you got a guy like that on your team. So I hope they do it. I hope they don't start there. Stop
Here's
there.
Here's to you, Fozzie. This is I'm sampling tonight. This was on the menu again.
Heavenly Hunks.
Organic.
Ridiculously amazing organic oatmeal dark chocolate. Sounds good.
Yeah, they really are.
Can we get a close-up of that? Oh, look at you. Yeah. You had to just wolf it. I don't see the chocolate. Where's the chocolate? They're really skimping on the chocolate.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Costco?
Yeah, Costco.
Look at you. You're not afraid. Mark Failer. Sorry, Larry. Siri got me with the Gary. That's all right, Mark. It happens. Siri will get you. He'll get you. But Max cracks me up. Larry, love the Giants, please. I do love the Giants, but I have to be honest. I look at it this way. There's so many people kissing the Giants' ass and they're telling you how great they are. They've got a million beat writers who every move that they make, they're just like in a mad rush to tell you how great it is. At least with me, you're getting my honest opinion. I'm not bought and paid for. I'm not sitting in the press box hoping that the PR guy doesn't give me a dirty look. I don't have 2 hot dogs in my back pocket and telling everybody that Farhan's great, so he'll do my podcast. I'm a straight shooter. I'm going to tell you how I honestly feel, and I'm going to give you my honest assessment. So you know what? There's got to be somebody out there who gives an honest assessment. Not everybody can be a total ass kisser. So it is what it is. I guess I got to be happy that there are a lot of ass kissers, because otherwise I wouldn't stand out. Mark Graves, Brady doesn't have to run. He's smart enough to throw the ball away. Yeah, exactly. Throw it away. Oh my goodness, Jimmy. Mark Failer, $4.99. Sorry, you are Larry. You are Larry Lynch. OBJ wants to rock the red and gold as much as those Nikes you bought. Are you still saying no thanks? I don't see it. I don't think they've got open. I don't think they got a space for him. I really don't.
I think if the need came,
Jawan Jennings is really popular in the room, and I know he's had some bad plays, but I'd rather go with Jawan at this point.
I would say if OBJ though is as good as he was before he got hurt in the Super Bowl.
What was his injury? Wasn't it ACL?
ACL, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, come on.
If he comes back and is as strong, then you got to look at him because he becomes another threat that you got to pay
He does have great ball skills.
Right.
Like, I'm thinking not this year, but next year. Like you got Trey. Trey throws bullets. Not everybody can catch that. OBJ can. So that's the one thing. But, he seems like he's always overpaid. He's got a high opinion of himself. I don't think people think he's spectacular because he's made some amazing catches due to the advancement in those gloves. He's got some of these catches where it's just like, you got to be kidding me. It's like he's catching it one-handed. So he obviously has huge hands and he wears those tacky gloves that, are super sticky. But it is interesting. People would be like, my son who's 13 would be like, Dad, OBJ's made catches that Jerry Rice has never. I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's when I'm like, all right, okay. Now it's like we're putting down Jerry Rice because of OBJ made some crazy catch because of some glove that's like basically like stick 'em times a million.
Right. Fred Blitnikoff made some unbelievable catches too.
Yeah, Lester Hayes made a couple on the back of his hand. He like literally caught it on this side of his hand.
Yeah.
So come on. But I mean, it is, we are at a point because of the advancement in technology. It is kind of interesting. Almost all of the greatest catches I've ever seen. Like if I'm really just being objective, right? Totally objective. I'm not putting my 15-year-old self or 10-year-old self in there and making yesterday bigger than it was. Just total objective. I would say 95% of the greatest catches I've ever seen have all happened in the last 5 years because of these gloves. I mean, imagine if you could drop that glass, but it didn't actually leave your hand. You took a sip of water.
Yeah, what's the difference between like those gloves? They're kind of like have a little bit of a sticky stretch to them or something.
Yeah, and what happens is you can spray like stuff on there to even make them stickier.
Yeah. So what happens?
They lose their tack. They lose their tack after a while.
Yeah, but they outlawed stick 'em with Blitnikoff.
They outlawed stick 'em, but then they approved these gloves that are like stick 'em, times 10.
I think Fred Blitnikoff must have just put his hands in a bucket. Like you see a big bucket of oil, just stick. It just comes out.
Do you remember? It was like brown.
Yeah, it was all over.
Eventually, they've got them. They made it clear so they couldn't be detected unless you touched them.
Yeah.
But then I don't know if they still do it, but offensive linemen in the 80s and 90s used to put on their jerseys, make them as tight as they possibly could, right? And then spray them with Pam. Remember Pam?
So they slip off.
So it's just just slick, super slick. So you could never really get your hands on an O lineman because he's got Pam all over his jersey.
Everybody's always looking for an edge. I mean, that's just the way. I mean,
see, look, I mentioned Bum. Eric L's like, I want Bum back in the Giants. Of course you do. Dusty Gold's like, I'll watch Mad Bum. Of course you will. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Farhan, these are your fans. Understand that. I mean, Mitchell and Ness, Larry, you nailed it. I want to spend money for tickets to see Clay and Steph sit in the seats with me. Well, that's the thing. I'm not saying that the Giants are going to win the pennant because they've got Trace Thompson. Trace Thompson's a borderline big leaguer, but so what? If you had him, you got Stephen Clay in the bleachers. If you got Stephen Clay in the bleachers, you got probably a couple thousand extra people in the bleachers.
Yeah,
and if they're in the bleachers, they're
they
cheering and they're buying
didn't have to give up
beer
a
and they're
prospect.
eating. What's
It's
that?
only money. All they did is pay cash for him. They didn't even give up prospects for Thompson. They could have had him during the time when the Giants were actually still in it, but he's going around and picking up other guys that are like nobody's even ever
Get
heard
some
of.
guys that make sense. Like I'll give you another one. So I got Bumgarner, makes sense. And now Bumgarner's obviously got a big, ugly contract that Arizona's dying to get rid of. So I'm not saying just take him. I'm saying you say to Arizona, I want Pavin Smith. I want that speedy outfielder Jake McCarthy. Right. You give me Jake McCarthy and Pavin Smith, and I'll give you a young prospect, and I'll take Bum's cash. And now you've got a replacement for Belt. You got an outfielder who can run, and you got a starting pitcher who people give a crap about, who's going to go to the post 32 times and round out your rotation and be healthy. Yeah, right. Is he going to get hit a little bit? Yeah, but so what? So what? People are, he's going to be better than your fifth starter this year. Why not? The other name that I think makes sense, and we'll see if they go in this direction. Will Myers. Every time I see Will Myers, he looks like a batting champion. Yeah, Will Myers absolutely owns Oracle Park. Get him, right?
Yeah. Go get him, especially if. They'd be happier with Slater, though. And it's like Will Myers, to me.
Slater, 6 home runs.
Yeah, exactly.
Never comes through in the clutch, ever. Yeah. I'd love to know what Slater's numbers are in the clutch. Yeah. I mean, that guy just sprints away from clutch moments. I mean, he's the king of doing something when it has zero impact. Right, I mean, how many times have you seen him come up in a big situation and just have a horrendous AB? Yeah, I don't believe in Slater at all. I know he's a decent player, and compared to some of the donkeys they have, he looks good. But come on, he's not an everyday big time outfielder on a playoff team.
Right. I mean, he's just a platoon guy that I'm trying to figure out what did we. NFL trade deadlines. We were going to talk about NFL on the thumbnail. We teased it with World Series and NFL trade deadline. Trade deadline.
Yeah, I mean
19 deals or something like that, or whatever it was. Over the
Mark Graves, by the way, nothing worse than watching shit than getting shit on by a bird.
Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty hilarious.
Well, what trade did you like? I mean, the Niners getting Christian McCaffrey, I thought was a great move. I thought Kansas City getting Kadarius Toney. Now, Kadarius Toney hasn't done crap for the Giants, and I don't know how trustworthy he is, but man, as far as stop and start quickness, and you want to try to tackle this guy, and now they got McCole Hardman, and they've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and they got Kelsey, and they got Juju, and Marquez Valdez-Scantling. They got all these guys, and now you're going to add Kadarius Toney. And I just think Kadarius Toney is going to be – Andy Reid's going to scheme up all kinds of plays to get him open. I think Kadarius Toney in Kansas City's lineup could be a freaking nightmare. Yeah, I thought that was a great pickup.
I mean, they know how to pick up guys, and it's just unbelievable. I thought that Bradley Chubb going to the Dolphins was a big move for the Dolphins. I mean,
absolutely.
They, in essence,
how about Roquan Smith getting the Ravens?
Leading tackler in the NFL. Now he goes to. I mean, that defense. I mean, that's why I put out a tweet. I don't know if you saw it, about my top teams that I would bet on if to win the Super Bowl this year.
Right.
Kind of interesting.
Kansas City and Buffalo.
Well, I actually put the 49ers first because I think their path is easier out of the NFC to get there. And I think if the 49ers do get there and are healthy, I think that offense, and if the defense is healthy, it's a different team that they'll be facing Kansas City or Buffalo. So I've got
matchups. I think the Niners match up way better with Buffalo than Kansas City.
Well, San Francisco, I put
Kansas City's so fast.
Yeah, I put KC number 2, Buffalo 3, Philadelphia 4, Baltimore 5, Miami 6, and Dallas 7. And then I drew a line.
Where you have you went up Minnesota?
Right, I got them 8. That's where
we did our power rankings today on 95.7 The Game of NFC teams, and I went Philly as the 1, Niners as the 2. Mm-hmm. I went Seattle as the 3 because I think Seattle, Danny, between Kenneth Walker the 3rd, the 2 rookie tackles, the 2 rookie corners, Boye Mafe off the edge, the defensive end. I just love the job that John Schneider did in this draft. And the way Gino's playing and Pete, it's been there for years. I kind of like Seattle.
Well, I think
they have an equation that equals wins.
They're kind of having fun. I think Russell Wilson might have been kind of a cancer in the locker room, just because it seems like guys don't really.
They do seem a little like unburdened.
Yeah, they a lot of the talk I keep hearing around Russell Wilson is everything. He's kind of like a Kapler. Everything's staged, or he's not real. Just I don't know. I mean. Who knows?
Says, I love how ESPN gave the 49ers a C- for the McCaffrey trade. Did they really?
Yeah, they did. People
a C-?
And the capital they gave up.
Come on.
They gave up a 2, a 3, and a 4, and then a 5 for 24, right? That's
a 2, a 3, a 4, and then a 5.
Yeah.
And
the 2 and the 3.
So it's a lot of it's 4 picks, but I mean
they've got 2 or 3 number 3 picks.
They got 9 picks in next year's draft.
They can't keep them all.
Plus, they have like 14 rookies right now on between their practice squad and their active roster. They have like somewhere between 12 and 14 rookies. So they have a ton of rookies right now.
Yeah, what could be they're doing?
And this guy's a difference maker.
Could Nick Zakelj be next year's Aaron Banks?
I think there's a chance that Nick Zakelj could be the center before the end of the year. He's big, he's physical,
they're
he's
working
smart
with him, and he's getting the reps. He's, last year everybody said, "Oh, Banks is a bust." Banks looks like like a Pro Bowl guard right now.
He looks like a guy who's going to play 10 years in the NFL.
Yeah,
and if you see him in the locker room, as far as his body type, he doesn't have the kind of body type where he walks around at 270 and then he lifts weights and now he's 315. No, this guy walks around at 315 and then he bulks up to 320, 325. So his walk around weight's 315. So he's natural at that size.
He's got good feet too with his movements.
Yeah, he's an athlete. I'll say this too. The other day he's in the locker room and they got a basketball court in the locker room. And Banks was sitting there sticking jumpers. Yeah. I mean, he's putting the ball on the deck and going to the hole, in the locker room basketball court.
No, I'm telling you, I watched a lot of film on him.
330, something like that.
He was moving Donald around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, yeah. So everybody
he's a load, man. He's an absolute load, and he's athletic. And Burford is even stronger. Just a huge wide body road grader guard. I mean, they've got 2 guards. I mean, it's too bad that Seattle's got the tackles between Cross and Abraham Lucas, but the Niners have 2 really good guards in Burford and Banks. Really nice.
Year, like you said, they got Poe and Zakelj in the kind of in the wings.
I asked Poe. I said to him this week, I'm like, have you ever played center? And he's like, I haven't played a lot of center. I would love to see him at center because I just think that Poe. I just think that his lack of height won't burn them at center. But maybe guards his spot. I mean, he's another guy. I would use Poe right now. I'd activate him and use him short yardage fullback. Just use him. Just use him to push the pile, and he's athletic. I mean, I got videos of him.
What's his first name?
His first name is Jason.
Jason, okay. Everybody knows him as Poe. Every time you say Poe, I grew up in the area where my kids were with Teletubbies. So I'm like, I hear Poe and I'm like having nightmares of
Teletubbies were scary as hell.
Yeah, they were. And then the Poe was kind of
when I would watch my kids watching Teletubbies, I'm thinking to myself, are these a Teletubby's going to come over and come down, like descend from a foreign land and like take over the world? I mean, seriously, Teletubbies. Whoever made Teletubbies, that concept was high as a kite.
Yeah. It's just
seriously.
Weird.
I mean, we're going to make these colored, squeaking, bot-looking things that are, I mean, it's just bizarre.
I can't even remember. I know there was a red one, a yellow, a blue, and maybe a green.
They just made these high-pitched noises, and it was terrible.
I don't even remember all their names. I just remember Poe for some reason. So Jason Poe, he played at what division did he play in? Mercer. Okay. Well,
he played at a couple schools. He transferred, I think, because of grades. I asked him about it this week. He did move around a little bit, but he started at a pretty good-sized school. Then he went to Lenore Ryan, and then he wound up at Mercer.
Okay.
So
yeah, and he was the guy after the draft that was shown like running like a running back or something like that.
Yeah, he caught passes like a fullback, but then and then not only that, I mean, you saw that crackback block he had when he came across the formation and just dropped somebody in the preseason.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just he folded the guy.
Is he healthy?
Yeah, he's healthy. He's just, practice squad. He's learning his thing.
Oh, what was the guy that the Niners used to stick him in the backfield, a guard, back in the
Guy McIntyre?
Yeah, Walsh days. Yeah, McIntyre. Guy McIntyre.
McIntyre was played at Georgia. He was 262 pounds. He was really light, but he was
I could see Poe being being in that backfield and either giving him the ball and just having him roll, just bruise his way through there or be the lead blocker.
I'll tell you the play that I really love in the NFL now that I think is the more I watch it, I've never seen anybody really.
Oh, just get behind the guy and push him.
Yeah, well, instead of basically do a couple things. Walk your quarterback away from the center and have him start pointing and distracting people. Then throw your fullback or running back as the wildcat quarterback under center, direct snap to him, and then have one of your backup guards in the backfield. And so then you get two bites at the apple, so to speak. You've got the direct snap to Juszczyk, and if Juszczyk at 240 can get you the yard or whatever you need, great. But if by chance he gets stood up, then have Poe come in behind him and just shove him.
Yeah, it's pretty tough to.
I mean, guys to see anybody stop that.
I haven't seen it stop. They've also done that.
But you don't want to do it with your quarterback because then your quarterback gets sandwiched between offensive guys pushing, and then all of a sudden he's becomes like the rope in the tug of war. You don't want that. But you know what? If you can direct snap it to your fullback, and you could have Banks or somebody like that size in the backfield pushing him, that's an unstoppable short yardage play.
I've also seen it where they put the tight end in motion and then hands off to the back, and the tight end ends up right behind the back and starts pushing him in, gets behind him. The key is who's ever got the ball, just keep your feet moving, and then everybody's feet gets moving, and it just becomes like a, it's like a
rugby. It's like a rugby scrum.
Rugby. Yeah,
hey, Spider 8 says, was that tighter than your Warriors jersey, Larry? We're talking about NFL jerseys being on real tight. Tighter than my Warrior jersey. I'm never gonna be able to live that down. Goddamn Warrior jersey. Goddamn internet. Internet's for fucking ever, Danny. I'm telling you. Don't ever take. I mean, seriously, I'm gonna die. My kids are gonna die. My grandkids are gonna die. It's gonna be like 4 generations of Krugers later. Oh, let's tell me about great grandpappy, and they're gonna type in my name, and that picture is gonna come up. They're gonna be like, oh.
Does that picture come up when you type in your name?
Yes. Type in my name.
I'm gonna do that just for the heck of it.
Just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's all because I was trying to make Radnich laugh. Because we got the jersey. It was in the studio.
Oh, look at
it was in the studio. Yeah. Oh man. Oh wow.
Oh my goodness.
It did make him laugh. Look at that. Someone said I look like sausage casing.
It made him laugh though.
Yeah.
Look at the background there.
Yeah, he's dying laughing. He thought it was the funniest damn thing. I thought it was funny until I realized it was going to be for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Hey, Spida says Slater is a 6th outfielder on a good team. Amen to that. Mark Failer, $4.99. Why don't Steiny and Guru ever do the changeover with Damon and Ratto? And if no comment, give me a let's go Sharks. Hashtag coach. I think that has to do with, Damon goes in there on Fridays and does one on Fridays. I don't think Rats loves doing it, but I think it's more about Damon. I think Damon is the one who doesn't go in there. And I'm not sure that, everybody gets along. I'll say that there's nobody who's like, I hate that guy, but Damon does go into the changeover with Steiny and Guru on Fridays. By the way, we'll put that to a test this Friday because I will be sitting in for Steiny with Guru on Friday, and we'll see if Damon and Ratto come in for the changeover. Let's see what else we got here. Anonymous. Really, Romo? Really? Do not follow the Rangers, but I always feel they underachieve. Oh, they do. I hope you're right and Boch wins another ring, but I'm not sure Texas was his best choice. Should have gone to San Diego. I think Boch just wanted to go where. Yeah, I think Boch wanted to go where he could call his shots. Chris Young let him call his shots. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, maybe Chicago might have been a team that's more ready to win right now, the White Sox, but might not have been the right fit.
Dusty Gold says, go ahead.
He has a good relationship with Chris Young, being
who played for him.
Yeah,
and you know what? If I'm Boch, I don't, that's fine that, all these super brainiac people are going to, have their analytics. And I'm interested in all the information too. Show it to me, but then get the fuck out of my dugout and let me manage. That's kind of how I think he probably feels about it. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I bet you if we had him here and I sat there and I said, Boch, my guess is that you like the information, want to check it out, but then when the game starts, you're like, get the fuck out of my dugout, right? And I bet you anything he would be like, yeah, well, I don't know if I'd say it that way, but yeah, he would agree. He would agree.
Yeah, I'm going to go see him. He's just 20 minutes down the road, spring training with the Rangers train.
Where are they? Talking Stick or whatever?
No, they're on the west side.
Surprise.
Yeah, they're out there with the Kansas City Royals.
What year did Surprise? What year was that invented? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I went to spring training for a decade. I never heard of Surprise.
Yeah,
and then one day it's like, surprise.
Yeah, exactly. Surprise. Here we are. Yeah, I don't know. I've been here since 2004. And it was
I'm a talking stick. Is that been around?
Hardly out in Surprise in 2004. I mean, it was the area to go if you wanted the very cheapest housing because it was so far out. And it's grown.
Where is it? North?
It's west. It's west of Peoria.
Okay.
It's about as far west as you can go before you run into what they call the White Tank Mountains. It's kind of.
How was it today, by the way, in Arizona?
It's cloudy and may rain tomorrow. It's supposed to rain here tomorrow. It's in the 60s.
What's the temperature?
It's supposed to be in the low 60s tomorrow.
I was looking at the temperature here in Walnut Creek, 55 degrees in Walnut Creek. It was 58 in Philly for Astros Phillies tonight.
Oh, my.
It's colder here in Walnut Creek than it is in Philadelphia.
I'll be up there tomorrow. I'm flying up tomorrow afternoon. My niece is getting married at the Claremont in Berkeley on Friday. And then you froze. You're frozen. Larry is frozen in time. There he's moving. He fakes right.
I'm back.
Goes left.
Can you see me?
Goes up. You're a little blurry. Fakes right, left. Jukes. Goes up. Lays it in. Speaking of,
what's going on there?
You're all blurry, man. The internet
really still blurry?
Freaking yeah.
You
look good in the green room, though. Green room, you look clear.
Dusty Gold says Claypool to the Bears. Wondered about that move. Heard rumors base coaching staff adopting the Ravens style odds. But I was just going to say, Dan, am I back?
You're back. You're moving.
Am I back, Dan? Am I still?
Your camera's just blurry. I don't know. Maybe I don't know why it's blurry.
That's so weird because it's like it looks fine to me.
Oh, you're a little off.
I was just going to say we stayed at the Claremont wedding night.
You stayed at the
great
Claremont
place,
what?
great restaurant, great hotel. We stayed at Claremont on my wedding night.
Oh, okay. I was going to
great, and the buffet, the Sunday buffet at the Claremont, Danny. You got to hit the buffet.
All right, and then
we're talking about crab and all kinds of great food.
I love that. We got the reception over at the Brazilian room.
No, where's that? Is that there?
I guess so. I'm not exactly sure, but it's probably going to be a little chilly Friday afternoon, outdoor wedding. Going to be a little cool.
Let's see here. Mark Failer says late night Larry. There you go. There we go. Larry's frozen. Calba says I'm frozen. Am I still frozen, Danny?
No, you're just blurry. You're like it's almost like you're like we know it's you, but it's not totally.
Do you see this one, Calba?
Oh,
Dan is basically inviting all of us to crash the wedding.
That would not go over well with my brother. That would not go over well. No. All
right, let's do this. Let's take a time out for just a second. We'll pay the bills. We'll come back with more on the Krueg Show after this. Larry Krueger here for Telmetrics. Thanks to Casey Bateman and the good people at Telmetrics. If you're an occupational therapist, if you're an orthopedic surgeon, a chiropractor, a physical therapist of any kind, Telmetrics is designed for you to use in your practice and will greatly benefit your patients. Telmetrics uses computer vision and artificial intelligence and provides a platform for outpatient rehab therapy services, both in the clinical and the telehealth environments. So using Telmetrics can improve your patient's experience and much more. So for all your sports injury needs, or if you're a physical rehabilitation specialist of any kind, call and make sure you use telmetrics.co, Telmetrix.co. And thanks to Casey Bateman and all the good people at Telmetrics for being a proud sponsor of the Krueg. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Dan Coach Emilio. Dan is a buddy, and he is a phenomenal retirement planning specialist, and you can contact him today at securemoney.com or at his number 925-628-9966. There's a lot of uncertainty in our world right now, and you want to make sure that your money is secure. That is the key. Danny's got 25 years of experience, born and raised right here in the Bay Area, and he can help you get an immediate 10% premium bonus on your principal retirement account. So give him a call, 925-628-9966. He'll make an appointment with you, and you can sit down. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of a deal. He'll consult with you and come up with a strategy to get you going to where you want to be. Once again, 925-628-9966, securemoney.com on the web. And thanks to Tony Cassera and the good people at Cassera's Italian Menswear. They are housing the Krueg Show t-shirts, and they're a proud sponsor of the show as well. The Krueg Show t-shirt, the Krueg Show podcast t-shirt is available there at their store in Dublin. Their address is 7372 San Ramon Road in Dublin, California. And go see Tony Cassera and get yourself a Krueg Show t-shirt and support the show. And special thanks to our sponsor, New York Style Italian Sausage. That's right, NewYorkStyleSausage.com is their website. Phenomenal product, whether it's the breakfast sausage, the Italian mild, the Italian spicy, the chorizo. You cannot go wrong with New York Style Italian Sausage. Once again, NewYorkStyleSausage.com, often imitated, never equaled. And they are a proud sponsor of the Krueg Show. Thanks to them as well.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday dinner without sausage, it's like a church without God. You know, how can you go to church if you don't believe in God? You know, and along with the sausage also became the discussions. That was discussion night. You know, it wasn't a typical family that you sit there and you're quiet, you know, and you don't talk with a mouthful. Oh no, man. Italians talk when they're eating. Italians even talk when they're sleeping. And definitely we talk with our hands. So if we can't express it through our mouth, through our lips, we express it with our hands. So, and that's what sausage is, really. It's an expression, you know, that life is good.
So New York Style Sausage was started over 70 years ago. We are the largest producer of fresh Italian sausage on the West Coast.
What makes our sausage in New York style is really the recipe came from back east, from New York, you know, from Connecticut.
If you look at all of our labels, there's maximum 4 or 5 ingredients, which we're really proud of.
There's no preservatives, no MSG, fresh in, fresh out.
The pork comes in fresh, goes out fresh. There's never any freezing throughout the process. We've always used fine quality cuts. We're never going to deter from that. It's one of the reasons why our sausage is so good. I guarantee you put our sausage up against anybody else's from a flavor standpoint, no one will beat it, hands down.
Hey, do yourself a favor and do me a favor. Go buy a package of the New York style Italian sausage. Guaranteed you will love it. Guaranteed.
Mark Graves says New York Style now available at Sam's Club here in Arizona.
Nice. I'll have to get me a Sam's Club membership. I let that expire since I always just go to Costco, but I'll get me in there to. In fact, Graves, if you've already been in there, get me one. I don't want to pay the membership just for that. I'll pay you for the sausage. You're not a Costco member? No, that's at Sam's Club. I'm a Costco
Sam's
member.
Club.
But it's like $35 to join, and I.
Why is like, Sam's Club better or worse than Costco?
Well, if you want to, you can get in and get out of there. There's no one hardly in Sam's Clubs here. They're like 10-1 go to Costco. It's like crazy, but it's not bad. I mean, once you're in there, there's good stuff. It's basically a little bit like Costco, but they just don't. Costco's got. I don't know. It's just
Anonymous says it's better and worse.
I mean, fresh in, fresh out. That's for sure. It's
fresh in, fresh out.
You can get in and out of there pretty quick.
Pretty sure I saw this guy at the Bada Bing in episode 13 of The Sopranos.
So
I miss The Sopranos, man. I miss James Gandolfini. He was an incredible actor. I miss his that to me, when him playing Tony Soprano is one of the greatest roles of, you know, in American history, whether it be TV, movies.
I think it was yesterday was the anniversary of John Candy's death. Whatever year he passed away, I saw a bunch of his clips from a lot of his different movies. He was hilarious.
Who's that?
All those John Candy.
Those aren't pillows from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah. He was just hilarious. That guy was just him and
how about the Joe Montana anecdote from Super Bowl 23?
Yeah, hey, look, Joe
where
Bogan.
he's trying to get Harris Barton to relax. Harris Barton was kind of uptight, and he's like, "Hey, H, isn't that John Candy over there?" And he's like, he looks over, and it's like John Candy standing in the end zone. He's like, "It is John Candy." And then Harris is like, I was like, "Man, this guy's cool as hell. He's spotting, he's talking about seeing John Candy, and they're about to, win or lose the Super Bowl."
Montana, he was
Joe Cool,
man. Did he just rarely you saw him like blow a game where
very rare. There was a time, and I was talking to Joe Fonzie about this in the media room a few weeks ago. There was a time, Danny, that you could be watching the 49ers. They could be down, anything under 7 points in the fourth quarter. And you could turn the game off and bank that you were going to be watching highlights of a Niner victory later that day. That's how automatic Joe Montana was in the clutch. You expected to see it. The most amazing thing about Super Bowl 23 wasn't the comeback. It wasn't the pass to Taylor. It was that we all knew it was going to happen, and it happened.
Right.
So that's the thing. It's easy to do it when nobody thinks you can do it. It's another thing to do it when there's like the burden of expectations. And at that point, it was like everybody knew the story of Joe Montana, and they expected Joe to lead that drive, and he did it.
So who's that quarterback today if you took Brady out of the equation? Who's that quarterback that you think of and it's like, oh, crap, he's going to come back and score and we're going to lose?
Probably Mahomes, because I would say it was Rodgers, but Rodgers without Devontae, no.
Yeah, it seems like it's Mahomes. Yeah.
It's Mahomes and Reed.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man,
Mahomes is incredible.
They're just a step ahead of everybody with their and it's got to be because of Mahomes' ability to do what he does, because I don't think you could do that if you put Justin Fields back there per se. I don't think you would get those results. Mahomes is just freakish.
I mean, Mark Graves says Sam Weishaupt knew also. Yeah. Kyle McKiernan says, "Why is Joe Montana so MIA when it comes to the media? He's just a private guy. He doesn't want to. He doesn't. He wants to hang with his wife and his family. I don't fault him. The guy did enough."
I have this theory about Mahomes and Trey Lance. I think Kyle drafted Lance over Jones or anybody else in that draft. Well, I guess his only choice was Jones, probably.
Fields.
Fields, Jones, or Trey, because of Mahomes. I think he saw because if you look at Mahomes coming out,
I agree.
He was known as a guy that could be he would do dangerous things that could cost you. And so Kyle did. That's why I don't even think Kyle overlooked him. And I'm echoing. I got an echo.
You got a little echo going.
It's something I did.
Yeah. It should be good now.
Okay, there we go. Okay,
we'll be the judge of that.
I think he overlooked Mahomes because he didn't fit his style at that time with a guy who was careful with the ball, and Mahomes at times would do crazy athletic things and make some mistakes, and that's why Kyle didn't go for him. But then when he saw what Mahomes did in the Super Bowl and how he lost to him and then lost to Allen.
I think it had to do with that Bills game when Josh Allen.
And then you saw Josh
completed
Allen.
that pass over Fred Warner's head down the field.
Right.
I just think that they were looking for somebody dynamic.
Right. And that's why I think he finally got off of his Kirk Cousins, his
Mac Jones.
Jones. I mean, who else did he draft? The kid from
Beathard.
Iowa, CJ Beathard,
Yeah.
and then he started off with Brian Hoyer, and he was going for that guy that would just run his system, and then so that's why I believe he didn't draft Jones, because he already had all that in everybody else that he previously had as his QB. So
I think there was probably some pressure from the scouts to go with a higher end player. Can I tell you my Super Bowl 23 story? So my good buddy who just died this year, sadly, just a few months ago, Bill Urbanek, great coach, coached for years and years in the NFL, coached with me in the Canadian League. I was his linebacker coach. He was the defensive coordinator. So he was the D-line coach for the Cincinnati Bengals on Sam Weich's staff when the Niners beat them in the Super Bowl. And so he knew I was a big Niner fan. And this was like his the greatest moment of his career, except that it ended with Joe Montana beating him. And then it's like we got put together in 94 in the Canadian League. And here I am, wanting to talk to him endlessly about that game. And it was like the darkest moment of his career. The worst loss he ever took. But he told me an incredible story. And I verified it. I verified it a couple different times. So Mark Graves, just sorry for your loss, Larry. I appreciate that. Billy and I were great friends. I would say he was almost like a second father to me. He called me "fuck you, Larry." And I'm not even joking. He literally called me "fuck you, Larry." He'd be like, fucking Larry, every day. I mean, to the point where the players would be like, hey, fucking Larry. It was like one of those things. But he also showed me the value of true hard work. I told you, I thought I worked hard. And then he's like, Larry, you're lazy. And that's where the whole thing came from, is I thought working from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. was hard work. He was like, oh, that ain't nothing. I'm going to pick you up at 4:45 and I'm going to drop you off at 1 a.m. and I'm going to pick you up the next morning at 4:45 and drop you off at 1 a.m. And, that was a long day for him. So anyway, I quickly, adopted his whole Dusty Gold.
So now we know why you go to bed at 1:30.
Yeah. Larry, you lazy boy. So he's telling me the story. He's like, who cost me my Super Bowl ring? And I'm like, Joe Montana? He's like, no. I'm like, John Taylor? He's like, no. And I'm like, who? And he goes, Michael fucking Carter. Michael fucking Carter cost me my Super Bowl ring. And I said, Coach,
the D lineman? The D lineman?
The nose guard.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Coach, you got to tell me the story. So if you go back to the drive right before the Montana drive, which ultimately resulted in finding Taylor in the back of the end zone, I think it was like 3 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock, and Montana took him the length of the field. The Bengals had the ball, and they were going to put the game out of reach with a touchdown. And they get to 3rd and goal on like the 1 or 2 yard line. Michael Carter lines up over Dave Remington, the former Nebraska center, kind of cockeyed on the center, got right in his ear. And as Esiason starts barking out the cadence, Michael Carter starts screaming the cadence, like at the top of his lungs. He's imitating Boomer, and he's not allowing Boomer to correctly, voice the cadence to his.
That's a flag today, right? You get a flag for that now, I think.
I don't know. So what happened was the center, Remington, snapped the ball, and Boomer wasn't expecting it. Maybe it was supposed to be on 2. He snapped it on 1. They fumbled the snap. Boomer fell on the snap, but because they didn't get the first down or the touchdown, they kicked the field goal.
16.
And when they kicked the field goal, they went up what?
16-13.
16-13.
Yeah.
If they had gone with the touchdown,
would have been 2013.
It would have been 2013?
Yeah. They would have been up by a touchdown.
No, it would have been. Yeah, you're right. They would have been 2013. So a touchdown only would have tied it. So ultimately, Carter yells the cadence. They fumble the snap. They get to fourth down. They kick the field goal. They go up 16-13. And that set it up for Joe to come back and win the game. And he did.
It's like I think there was 34 seconds left on the clock when they scored. Now today, you imagine today Mahomes still having 34 seconds to come down? I mean, he did it in 13 against Buffalo. Yeah. I still can't believe that. I had a play for that Buffalo game. I was screaming at the TV. It was 13 seconds to go, and Buffalo needs to just prevent them from getting a field goal, right? Because they were up by 3. Because then they got down there. I said, just get out there with every receiver and hold them. Everybody grab a receiver.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if that's legal anymore.
Well, the game can't end on a defensive penalty.
Well, see, what would have happened is there was 13 seconds. So what you would have done is you would have taken a penalty, and it would have been
an untimed
5 yards, and he would have knocked it down to 8 seconds, 7 seconds. They would have not had a chance to kick the field goal.
No, but the game cannot end on a defensive penalty.
Right. So they would have had one more play with 8 seconds
untimed.
Left. No, see, on the 13 seconds on the first play.
No, but the people that I've heard talk about this have said, what if you just kept doing that?
No, just do it once, because then they can't get down. They had no timeouts. What happened is they got the big play, and then they went down and spiked it. And then they were able to kick the field goal. So if you held them, and then they would have had one more play, they would have had to go for a Hail Mary. Or get an out-of-bounds play, which they probably wouldn't have been able to get 30, 40 yards downfield to have time get out of bounds. So,
what was the play this last year? Was it 2 years ago that Vrabel did that wasted some time? Remember that in the playoff game for Tennessee?
Yeah, he was running the clock out or something. He
basically found some loophole. He found a loophole, and they ran some time. Jaguayo 56 asks a really incredible question. He says, Krueg, would Shanahan have given Colin Kaepernick a shot if he could go back, or was that even an impossibility? Well, it definitely wasn't an impossibility. He deemed that Kaepernick couldn't run a system, and that Kaepernick wasn't fit to run a system. But, the thing about this that, muddies things is that, obviously, the Kaepernick the whole thing's become this, huge story. And, was he blackballed from the league and so on and so forth? And most people believe that he was. The 49ers and everybody in the NFL at that time, they were just at the beginning of putting the game plans on the iPads. And then they could tell how much you were looking at the game plan based on the program they had. So they knew how much guys were looking at their iPads. And the talk that I'd heard around the team was that Kaepernick was just, he basically never was in his iPad. And as the quarterback,
like Kyler Murray, how he got his contract, he had to study so much.
Yeah. So, I mean, and who knows if that's actually the case, but that's what I heard, that, they had kind of proof that, he was like a part-time advocate, part-time quarterback, as opposed to a full-time quarterback.
The whole thing, to me, his contract, he wasn't under contract anymore, right? His contract had expired.
No, I thought he was. I thought he had one more year.
But it wasn't guaranteed, right?
Well, I don't know that any NFL contracts are fully guaranteed,
so
but yeah.
My point is if your employer, if you're the employer and you don't want somebody that may cause disturbances, whether, Kaepernick had the right to do what he wanted to do, but doesn't the employer have the right to say, it's kind of a distraction on our team? That's becoming the focus.
It was a distraction. I can remember who was the offensive lineman they traded to Miami? Kilgore Kilgore, I think it's him, Daniel Kilgore.
Yeah.
Kilgore was walking through the locker room one day that year when Cap was basically holding court in the middle of the locker room, and he was just pissed. I mean, now I don't know if he was pissed at Cap for holding court, talking about something that wasn't football, or if he was pissed at just the whole scene of the writers all gathering around this non-football story in the middle of their locker room. But he was pissed, and he was voicing it as he was walking from his locker to the shower. Now, I don't know who he was pissed at. Nobody went up to him and said, Daniel, who exactly are you? What's the genesis of your anger? Nobody asked him that. But I think there were a lot of guys in the room that felt like that whole thing was a major distraction. Distraction.
Mr. Norcal
for it. But
Mr. Norcal says Cap was a free agent. That's what I thought. That's why I thought, hey, you know what? If you're a free agent, I don't have to sign you. I don't care what the league says. I don't want you as my quarterback because this is my first year here and I'm going to run my system. And I really don't want the distraction. Go do it somewhere else if you want it.
Well, you also remember that Cap did a lot of his stuff publicly. Jed donated $1 million to his cause, and a lot of NFL owners felt like Jed was bullied into donating that $1 million, and that Jed was put into a bad position. I kind of feel like the league soured on Cap when he squeezed Jed for the $1 million. Now I don't know.
Yeah. I felt like things with Cap started to change the second, it was like he went vegan, and it was like all of a sudden he wasn't this imposing like giant force anymore. He was all kind of slender, and then kind of comes out about his girlfriend in New York, and there's rumors about him going to the Jets, and it just seemed like ever since like he got with that chick, like he just sort of stopped being the same guy that he was. I mean, he used to be such a fiery damn competitor. I mean,
it's weird. He got.
To me, the game ended for him in the Arizona game when we saw Arizona basically on defense drop into a short zone. Everybody had their eyes peeled on the quarterback, and he threw 2 pick sixes and he didn't adjust. You know what I mean? He didn't throw with any anticipation. He, absolutely telegraphed where he was going with his passes. Arizona, I felt like, discovered that, sat in that short zone, and broke on his release. And his release was elongated, and he gave up 2 pick sixes in the first half of that game. And that was it. I don't think he ever recovered from that.
If he really had his focus on just football and was really, like Rye said, very competitive and put his heart into the game instead of outside interest. I'm not saying you shouldn't have outside interest. I'm just saying that became his number one focus above football, and it was obvious.
Here's a question. Would they have won the Super Bowl with Alex? Would they have beaten the Ravens? Would they have gotten to the game against the Ravens? Remember how great Kaepernick was in Green Bay in that playoff game?
Yeah, I don't know. But my point,
I would say no.
Yeah, I don't think so. But my point was if Cap could have been perfect running Shanahan's offense today, if he was at his peak, he would have been the guy.
He had no ability to layer the ball. He had no ability to loft the ball. He had no touch. Everything was a laser. He had, if there was a guy standing, right in front of him, he couldn't throw it over the defender and get it to his guy. It's like he didn't have the ability. He was not very advanced as a passer. He had a strong arm.
Yeah. Speaking of touch, that pass that Jimmy hit Kittle in the back of the end zone, rolling out to his left the other day, I don't think I've ever seen him throw a better pass. And I don't know, and I don't know if he could. He
was locked in, Danny. How about the pass to McCaffrey? That was a dime too.
Yeah,
the one for the touchdown.
Yeah, and
Jimmy had a great game. Jimmy had a tremendous game. That's the question. Can Jimmy keep it going? Can Jimmy continue to play at a high level?
I'll tell
And
you,
all he really needs is he needs a 3 or 4 game run at the right time, right when the playoffs start.
Right. I mean,
That's all he needs.
He was 84%. If he keeps it to 68 to 70, they'll win. If he hits and doesn't turn it over, if he hits 70% of close to 70% of his passes and doesn't turn it over, Niners are going to be very tough to beat.
Anonymous is the pass where CMC jumped 10 feet for. Yeah, but it wasn't that. First of all, he got it to him. Second of all, that was all street yard. That was like,
that was insane. That was insane. I mean, come on.
That was a receiver and a quarterback who have no reps together being totally in sync in a key moment.
See, I think Jimmy, how do I say this? I think Jimmy is in tune with guys that are really street smart, intelligent football players. And the fact that Jimmy, when he got here in 2017, he was, just playing kind of pickup ball and he was having a blast. With McCaffrey out there, McCaffrey is like a whole nother guy at another level because he has as Jimmy said, he sees the field as a quarterback, and a quarterback sees a field before a receiver sees a field a lot of times, because he says, in his mind, a quarterback is going, I want to hit you over there. I see the spot I want to throw it, but you're not anywhere near there. McCaffrey sees that. Like that was total instinct between both those guys. And I think the problem with some of the Niners receivers, they haven't had guys that like Cooper Kupp has it.
Dan, I know where you're going. Could I take this? Could I hand it off to me?
Yeah, go ahead.
I see exactly what you're saying is like, well, Shanahan, there's a reason why he wants Kirk Cousins. He wants the most robotic possible quarterback, and he wants the same thing with all his weapons. Although there's a lot of creativity, he wants them running the routes on the play. So everyone is so like focused on, being sharp and executing the complicated play that they lose a little bit of that backyard football feel that like Mahomes has with Kelsey and Stafford has with Kupp, where these guys, they run their route, but then after that, they just, if there's some room in the zone, they just go find space and then they hit that guy. And I think that McCaffrey coming in kind of as a fresh, he hasn't been in this regimented Shanahan system. I think that he is going to kind of provide almost like he's like going to be the one guy providing a little bit of backyard football, finding soft zones, all that kind of stuff. And then the rest of the offense is going to remain as rigid, but that's going to be fantastic.
I would like to see Debo have it a little bit too, because I think he does. It's just, he's like you said, right? He's in this rigid system, follow the, everything to a T. But when it breaks down, you got to have guys that know where to move to. Because, the Raiders, when Ken Stabler was quarterback, used to have that better than anybody I'd seen. Those guys would always run back to the football, whether it would be Dave Kasser, Fred Biletnikoff, Cliff Branch. Those guys, if you go back and look at just tons of Raider film, you'll see guys making catches that are running toward the ball instead of away from the ball, if that makes sense. They're coming back to the play, and they'd catch the ball in front, and then, but it would still be.
First of all, any good receiver should work his way back to the quarterback.
Yeah,
if you're not working your way back, I thought Michael Irvin was one of the best of all time at doing it. I mean, Michael Irvin would work his way back to Troy Aikman. He did it in college. He'd work his way back to Steve Walsh. No question. I mean, you got to help your guy. You got to help your guy.
Did it a lot.
Dwight Clark, Freddie Solomon was great at it. Absolutely great at it.
I don't see the 49ers doing that in this offense so much.
That is actually a pretty good point, because, all of the explosive plays, when I think about it in my head, it's like either they came out of the run game where something massive hole jumped, or it's a short pass design to Debo or whatever, and he's able to make a couple people miss and a couple people fall off him, and then he breaks that. or it's like they run something that just causes a complete bust in the coverage, like that was on purpose. But you don't really see the like, I don't know.
Well,
they haven't had, because those are when you're working your way back to the quarterback. Those are the receivers who have refined route running, like the guy that they had from Washington a few years ago, Pierre Garçon.
Oh, Pierre.
They had Pierre Garçon. Pierre Garçon would work his way back to the quarterback. Yeah. Anybody who's Michael Crabtree would work his way back to the quarterback. Right. Guys who understand how to run routes. That's route running 2.0 or 3.0. Kyle McKiernan says, I went to high school with Aaron Rodgers. I watched so many high school football games. My friends played with him. He wanted to be a 49er. No fucking doubt the 49ers would have one or two more trophies if they had gone with Rodgers. Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. Oh yeah, Niners would have at least one or two. They probably would have beat the Ravens. They probably would have beat the Chiefs.
They probably would have been there 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, I will say this. I sat in that room in the 2005 draft, and I know Mike Sullivan, who was Aaron Rodgers' agent at the time, and the story I was told was that the Niners had a deal worked out with Tampa for the 5th pick and multiple 2nd and 3rd round picks. And Tampa fell in love with Cadillac Williams. They were on the clock at 5. They were talking trade with the Niners. And then they just said, you know what, let's go with Cadillac Williams. So they went with Cadillac Williams, and the Niners went with Alex Smith. But the Niners didn't love Alex Smith. They loved Aaron Rodgers, but they wanted to get value, and they didn't want to be called cheap. Yeah. And Tom Condon, the agent for Alex Smith, made that draft a referendum on Dr. John York and his frugal reputation. And he read the room perfectly. He undercut Mike Sullivan and Aaron Rodgers, and the 49ers had no true football conviction. And so they drafted Smith. They were looking to trade him for Rodgers. When the trade didn't work out, they said, I will stay with Smith. And that was their lack of conviction. Now, Smith
really made that decision. Was it Nolan or was it McCarthy? Who
made
Nolan. That decision?
It was Nolan. Nolan and McLuhan. Yeah, Nolan and McLuhan, I think.
McCarthy ends up in Green Bay and gets him.
It's I know. The irony of that, and now he's only Super Bowl win. Both of them's only Super Bowl winners together. Eddie K's 24. Larry, what room aren't you in? Or am I in?
Oh, he's like, hey, what room aren't you in, Lair?
Oh, yeah, you were in the draft room.
Seriously, I'm in a lot of rooms.
He was in the huddle with Joe Montana, with Harris Barton. He was there in the huddle.
Mike Nolan was a safe pick for him. Okay, that's going to do it for us, man. That we're 2 hours and 11 minutes into our live stream. Right. Sorry you just got back with us, but did you get your girlfriend home in time and everything? Everything worked out
and
okay?
I recorded a topper for our podcast. That was the other thing I forgot. I was like, I know
Did you get that out? Okay. Yep. That's going to do it. You guys got a final thought?
What do you got on there, Larry? A jacket there? Or you looks cold. You got a coat on?
You know what it
I'm going with my my polo jacket. Got the polo jacket going here.
Okay. Before we sign off, I got to find a funny photo.
It's cold, man. It's cold. It's like 48 degrees. I'm in my studio. My studio is in my garage.
Yeah, you know what you need? Do you have an outdoor? Do you have a for next year? Do you have a?
That's the look you're rocking, right? The Ned Stark.
Do you have a room outside your outside the garage that goes to the outside?
I have a garage, and then I have my studio, which I had a contractor build me a studio in like 25% of my garage.
But you don't have, because you should get one of those mini splits. Those things got AC and heat. And they'll you'll be able to cool that room off when it's hot in the summer.
It's not too bad. It's not too bad. It's more bad in the dead of summer when it's like, it's like Qatar out here. It's it's the Middle East in my garage. It's like, 125 or something. I might as well be, standing outside at your HOA meeting or something. it gets a little hot, and then that's when I'll have like seriously, I'll have like tumblers of like ice water, and just I'm just throwing back all kinds of water, and then in the dead of winter, I mean, I've done some, especially during the pandemic, I've done some 7 a.m. in the morning 49er pregame shows in like December, and you're just sitting here and
you're gonna have coffee. You're gonna be drinking hot coffee. You're gonna have a
I don't drink coffee. I don't drink coffee.
Oh, that's right. No coffee.
Vicky Boone says, thanks, guys. Have a great night. Thank you, Vicky. Vicky's a regular. Brian Lucena. Great show, guys. See y'all later. Anonymous, and your neighbor is working the belt sander. Yeah, exactly. My neighbor who we haven't talked for 25 years, but give it some time.
Hey, no DJ Venus tonight, man.
He's still reeling from losing to me in fantasy.
Somewhere there are those emails that are on the list. I got to email him because I sent him a trade, but he'll probably never look at it. Dang.
Danny, you've proposed quite a few trades.
I'm a wheeler dealer.
By the way, I picked up today Isaiah Likely.
Dang it! I had him. I dropped him.
You guys both had him, right?
No, I was going to take him.
Rye had him.
I drafted him. And then
I was going to put him
sloppy thirds here. I'm getting sloppy thirds.
I was putting him on, Larry, yesterday, and then I thought, no one will pick him up because I don't know if Andrews is playing or not. And if Andrew doesn't play, I think Likely's worth about 10 points.
Oh, I know.
Dang.
I have the Steeler tight end Freiermuth, but they're on the bye.
Well, he was out anyway too last week, wasn't he? Didn't he?
No. I thought he had 7 catches.
Oh, maybe so. I thought he was supposed to be out. So you got Likely.
I got Likely.
But is Andrews going to play Monday night?
I don't think so. I think Likely's going to play. He's projected for 11.
Likely's likely to play?
Likely is likely.
Next year, I'm definitely taking Andrews and then drafting Likely so that I have a handcuff.
You know what?
Sounds so nice.
I think the next year's draft, kind of maybe it's not such a bad idea to take a guy like Mahomes in the 3rd round or something instead of waiting until the 5th or 6th. It's like he's so good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I had Mahomes a couple years ago. You just had to make sure that there was one year he threw all those picks. Was that last year?
Yeah, last year.
I need Jonathan Taylor to have one decent game so I could trade him. I think
if you're going to make a trade, you better make it soon. I think the trade deadline's coming up.
I've been offering Taylor out there, and I'm not getting anybody to.
Because your asking price is too high, and you keep going for big time guys. I'd trade you Dameon Pierce straight up for Taylor if you want.
Let's do it.
No.
Let's
you
do
ready?
it.
No.
You ready? I'll do that.
What? Really?
Dan.
Think it over.
How about Walker straight up?
No. Come on. Right now, I'm like the guy. I'm like the HOA person looking at I see the hole.
We may have to make a 3-teamer because Dan, we keep talking about trades, but we're just so not compatible.
I'll take Pierce.
DeGuayo. Krug, please. One last shot of Pasquale, please. Look at that.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. We grew up with a Sunday dinner.
All right, there you go. You got 3.
Pierce,
you got 3 Pasquales.
Pierce.
We do a 3-teamer?
I'll take Pierce and Allen.
Should we do a live? All right.
Yeah,
I think people in the chat will still they like
Pierce and Allen. Okay, let me see. Let me take a look.
Yeah, let's. This is a little
Pierce
bonus.
And Allen, you can have Taylor and
slow down. What's the name of your team?
He's the Monster Sausage.
Pasquale's Monster Sausage. He's sick.
Sausages. Or is it plural or singular? Let me see. Monster Sausage I should change it to sausage.
Okay, so Likely is now in the lineup. Oh, wait a second. I'm gonna have to move likely.
Taylor. Who do you got, Rye?
That's what I'm saying. We got to do a menage a trois.
Okay, so
3-team
Danny,
deal.
what's the name of your team again? The Sausage?
Yeah, the Pasquale Monster Sauce. Look at that stack roster. It's making
You're
a
in
comeback.
10th place. You're in 10th place. Okay.
10 points behind you.
Okay. If you give me God, you got no receivers.
Yeah, I do.
You got Lamb.
And I got Claypool now.
Yeah.
What's
Man,
Edwards-Helaire been doing? What's he been up to?
He's on my team.
I know. Is he?
He's pretty good.
Yeah.
How about this? I'll give you Damian Pierce. What's the deal with Jonathan Taylor? Is he hurt?
No, it's just an ankle, but he's going to play.
He had 5.6 points last week.
He's projected at 12.9 this week.
Okay, I'll trade you Damian Pierce and Keenan Allen for Jonathan Taylor and DK Metcalf.
Oh, I can't give up Metcalf.
You asking me for Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's the number one receiver.
You want Claypool? Instead, he's going to be the number one with Chicago.
Claypool's healthier.
Oh, you know what, Larry? Maybe you squeeze Kyler out of him. You kind of could use an upgrade at QB.
Oh, come on! I'm not getting rid of Kyler. He's my only chance of.
How about Lamb? Do I get Lamb back?
No. Lamb. For. I fleeced you once. Actually, you got Walker. So
Let me see what DK's doing.
I'm thinking
if you think it over, I think that's a fair deal. Keenan and Pierce for Taylor and Allen.
How about Claypool?
I don't trust Claypool. I don't trust Fields.
Strawberry Fields forever, man. He's coming along. I picked him up. Last night.
I know you did.
Because I'm going to have to sit Murray in a couple weeks, and I thought.
And Dan, what do you want for the combination of George Kittle and Jonathan Taylor?
From you, I'll take Chubb and
Mark Graves.
That's where there's Mark no
Graves and Larry. Do you remember what Gary used to say about Kim Kardashian? All I remember him saying is that Ray Woodson said he wouldn't. If she came to the door, he wouldn't.
I'll take Cook and Waller, or Chubb and Waller, either one.
That's all I remember about that.
What do you think, Rye?
What do you got? I think Danny's very serious now, making the trades.
I can't do that.
Look, Cabo says don't trade Taylor. Cabo.
You're listening to a guy named Cabo.
I have all these running backs that like Brian Robinson, Pollard, Singletary.
I'll take Brian Robinson. You want Brian Robinson?
I'll take Brian Pollard. Robinson. I'll take Pollard.
I'm willing to give up Pollard, Singletary, and Brian Robinson.
I'll take Brian Robinson. Wait, let me see. What's the name of your team?
Ryan's Remarkable Team.
God, you and Danny are right there at the bottom.
Yeah, you're really killing us. Look at you. You're like 10 points ahead of me.
Am I in front? Am I in front?
You're 10 points ahead.
You may step down now. You may step down.
2 weeks ago, you were behind me.
Who's in front? You may step down. You may step down.
Next Tuesday, you'll be behind me.
All right, let's see. Who's leading? You may step down. All right. Okay, let me see. No, he got 2 points last week. Brian Robinson. That ain't good. Yeah. What happened there? He only had 8 carries.
Okay. Let me propose a three-way here. I'll take.
You're going to try to scare up a three-way?
I will take.
This is really good stuff. I mean, if you're watching this, you're really, really
have no life.
What about
Danny is trying to make trades?
From a
55 and over community?
Does anybody want Pittman?
What'd you call me?
Pittman? Did you say Titman or Pittman?
Pittman.
Okay.
Pittman?
Pasquale. Okay, where is Larry? He's
How about this? How about this? I'll take D-Hop. What do you want for D-Hop?
Oh, he's so fire.
I'll take D-Hop and Robinson for what do you want?
I don't know. That's a little scary. Oh, I do covet.
You have guys on my team that you've been trying to get. You wanted Pierce for a while. You wanted Hunt for a while.
Oh, Larry, what about this? Just not that big of blockbuster. What do you want for Hunt?
I don't want much. I'll take. What did you say you have?
I mean, would you do Singletary and Robinson?
Oh yeah, take that deal. He'll take that deal.
Don't you try to influence me.
Singletary, Hunt behind.
I don't like Singletary. Yeah, but Hunt has still got a lot of talent. He still scores. How about this? How about
I'm maybe Paul? I would be maybe Pollard. It's just tough because he just.
How about DJ Moore and Hunt for D-Hop and Robinson?
Oh, can't do it.
No.
How about this, Larry? CeeDee Lamb, Jonathan Taylor.
Oh my gosh.
Here we go. This should be good.
For Jefferson and Pierce.
Oh, come on. Jefferson. You're not getting Jefferson. Jefferson was like the third. Jefferson was the second pick in the fantasy draft.
All right, Jefferson.
No.
I'm
not giving you Jefferson.
I'll give you Lamb and Taylor for Jefferson.
Is anybody else in the league watching this and maybe want to get in
watching? Just come on. Who do we got in our league that was in the league?
Here's a little question to mix it up.
Ashley says, hey, you guys, do you think the Dolphins are pretenders or do you think they could actually get into and make noise in the playoffs this year? Just curious.
They can.
They absolutely can make noise. Yeah. Ashley, I mean, there's no question. I mean,
I've got them as the sixth best shot to win the Super Bowl.
Plus, they got a good D line now.
Yeah, I like them. I think they can hang in any game. I like that they're like a curveball in the AFC.
Yeah.
The only reason I don't believe in them is Tua.
Yeah, I don't know. They seem to believe.
I don't know. You get in those playoffs and you got Waddle and Tua. It's going to feel like Alabama to those guys. They're going to be like.
Here's my question: Is Malik Willis going to be the quarterback in Tennessee, or is it going to be Tannehill?
I think it goes back to Tannehill.
As long as Tannehill is healthy. It's definitely Tannehill.
Yeah. You're not.
Oh, look at this. Calba, look at that. That's some good context right there. The hard luck loser. Third and points.
Calba, do you got anybody you want to deal? Let me see. Come on, Calba.
Calba, let's deal.
Wait a second. Mike Singletary just chimed in. He says, I want winners.
God damn it.
I want winners. Can't have
Calba,
it. Can't do it.
I will give you
guys who want themselves. Can't have it. Can't do it.
I will give you Jonathan Taylor. And
you're really trying to move Jonathan Taylor.
You give me Austin
Calba says, don't make any completes offers.
Give me.
You know what, Calba, do you want Pollard? Because I know you've got
look at Calba. Look what Calba just put it. Bad proposal incoming.
Okay, here we go.
Calba, how much do you want Pollard? Let me know in the comments because I know you got Zeke. I would maybe even take Zeke, and then I have Zeke and Pollard.
Okay, here you go. Here you go, Calba. You're going to get 2 for 1. Jonathan Taylor, the
2 for 1.
number 1 overall pick in the draft. Last year's the reigning fantasy football.
Who's hurt on a bad team champion, who never scores.
And they're going to come back. Colts always make second half comebacks. And I will give you give me Eckler, I'll give you Taylor, and I'll also give you your choice of Claypool or Gordon, or I might even consider David Montgomery. How's that?
I like you. I like if Dan pauses when there's nobody there to answer.
You get 2 backs.
Yeah, that's the question. And I could offer you this. There's nobody there.
I see.
I think there's a deal to be done for me to give away Pollard. Wouldn't you want Pollard?
Okay,
guys,
I'll take Pollard. I'll take Pollard. Who do you want?
And especially if you had Zeke, wouldn't you want Pollard? So you don't know
who has Zeke?
Kalba.
I'll give you. We can do a big 3 or 4 way. You can end up with Murray.
If
I can get Pollard and Dak somehow.
Kalba, maybe you could do a little trade for Likely as well. He's got Mark Andrews.
Yeah, you might need Likely, and you could end up with Likely and
I have Likely in my
Kyler
team.
Murray, and I end up with Pollard and Dak. Ryan ends up with somebody's going to end up with Jonathan Taylor in this deal.
I'll take him.
If I can,
the thing is, I would totally make like a trade with you for him, but it's just like Dalvin and Chubb are both like just doing so well that.
But who are you putting in the flex?
I mean, damn! If I wonder if I can get.
Larry just added Greg Joseph again because he got 18 points out of him 1 week. He sucks.
No, I've got Robbie Gold. My kicker's on a bye.
Okay. He's going back now. I shouldn't say he sucks. He did get you 18 points.
Kicker on a bye. Kicker's on a bye.
Bye. My whole team's on a bye. I had to rebuild this thing. I am like Farhan. I really am. You look at the
you made terrible trades and then you went back. You are like Farhan.
I haven't made. I got CeeDee Lamb out of you. He actually caught a pass.
And who did you try to get him? Kenneth Walker
you know
the
what?
third. He's the hottest back in football.
If I run the replay back, I've got it. It's like Cowboys are down. They get the ball over to Lamb. He runs past the 50, down to the 40, down to the 33-yard line, 23-yard gain, and that.
But see, I don't need Lamb because I got Justin Jefferson, I got DJ Moore, I've got Alec Pierce, I've got Wan'Dale Robinson, I got Keenan Allen, I got Jahan Dotson, I got Kadarius Toney. I got receivers.
Yeah,
I don't need Lamb.
Yeah, but those receivers aren't going to get you any points.
Justin Jefferson.
Oh, Jefferson. Yeah, I didn't hear the ones the other ones you read.
DJ Moore had 23 points last week.
You want to do DK and Taylor for Pierce and Allen? You said you do that. You want to do that?
Alec Pierce.
No, not Alec Pierce.
Hey, what do you want? DJ Moore and
no, not
and,
DJ Moore.
And,
I wanted.
Yeah,
I want.
I thought you just said that.
No, hold on. Let me go to your team again.
You just said DJ Moore and Pierce.
I meant
for DK and.
No, I meant.
Allen. You want Keenan?
I meant Allen. I said Allen.
So you want Keenan and say it again.
Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
And Dameon Pierce.
Yeah.
And likely for
you didn't say
Taylor
likely
and DK.
I just got likely.
Yeah, but it's good to move him. I just got Claypool.
Just good to move him. I just picked him up and I need a tight end this week.
I'll give you Tanyan.
I have to think about that after the show.
Yeah, now watch. Andrews comes back. I make the deal. Andrews says, I'm 100% healthy. Likely gets 2 snaps.
Dusty Gold. Farhan hired Willard. Did he?
What?
What's
he talking about?
I have no idea.
Is he saying Larry and Ryan trying to fleece Dan's roster?
Dusty Gold, Larry and Ryan trying to fleece Dan's roster.
Hey.
I actually want D-Hop. I want D-Hop and Robinson from Rye. So what do you want off my team for D-Hop and Robinson?
I'll give you. You know what, Ryan? I will give you CeeDee Lamb and Jonathan Taylor for D-Hop and Pollard.
No, that's too good.
Hey, could you get the fuck out of my trade? I can't
in good conscience take that trade, Dan.
Why?
Why are you trying to screw over Rye? Just because he's younger?
No. It would be the other way around, wouldn't it?
No.
If I got Speedy and Jonathan Taylor for Hopkins and Pollard.
Well, I don't know about that. You better check on Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, what the hell's going on with him?
Nothing. That's the problem.
He's good. Look, Buster in the background says he's good. Hey, Buster. Buster?
Now we're listening to dogs.
Should I trade Jonathan Taylor? What do you think? I mean, that's not a bad move. I mean, Hopkins and I can oh gosh, yeah.
There's got to be somebody on my team you take for Hopkins. What's Hopkins gotten in first points this last couple of weeks? What's he done for you?
Since he's been back, he's been fantastic. I'm just trying to see.
Who's your quarterback?
Who did I say I was giving you?
Lamar.
Who did I say I was giving you?
He's averaging in 2 games, he's averaging 131 yards a game and 11 receptions a game and 27 targets total.
Hey, Rye, who did I say I was going to give you?
CD and Taylor.
Oh.
He changed his mind.
Oh, shoot. How about Metcalf and
Danny?
Metcalf and Taylor. I can't believe I said CD. He's my Taylor. He's the number 1 guy in the league last year. Taylor, because you don't need Pollard may not even play though, huh? Well, Pollard will get touches, won't he, when Zeke comes back?
Oh yeah, I mean he always like it. At worst, it's more so there's the upside of him becoming like the every down guy. But I mean, like last week he had 15 touches, and like that's probably pretty consistent what he will get going forward.
All right, I gotta go. I gotta go. It's midnight. It's midnight. I can only entertain so many Danny trades before. Danny, send me a text.
What's this? No way Willard did. Willard was dressed up as
yeah, he went Kapler for Halloween.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
That's pretty funny. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, that beard was pretty cool. All right, everybody.
Good stuff. Hope everybody enjoyed it. And good job, everybody. I like what we did there. Excellent.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you won't get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to hassle.